Hi there, and welcome to the first ever episode of In PS We Trust. We're a fortnightly PlayStation podcast, and even though our interests do spread across the entirety of gaming, we're really going to try and focus it through the lens of PlayStation. Now, my name's Davey, and I'm joined today by Phil.
Hello.
And Spencer.
Hi. What was that ghoulish hello?
Well, you've got to ask me these things, haven't you?
Because it's October, innit?
Phil, what was that intro all about, mate?
Well, I'm over in England, so my voice echoes in the Welsh valleys where you guys are.
I tell you what, mate, you're talking some nonsense. You're talking some absolute nonsense. So, basically, what we thought we'd do with the first ever episode is kind of give you a bit of an introduction to us as hosts, really. Kind of give you an idea as to what games we're into, what we're excited for the PlayStation 5, and kind of just go through a little bit of the news, but mostly a bit of an evergreen episode. A typical show is mainly going to focus around the news and some big topics that we want to discuss in depth. We're not going to be covering every single element of the news because there's other podcasts for that, but we'll be really cherry picking the things that are interesting to us and then expanded on those in quite a bit of depth. And that's where I can see the show going. But ultimately, we're new to this too, so things are going to change as the show goes on. And if you want to write into the show and give us your feedback, or if you've got any questions or anything, please feel free to write into us. We got an email, which is
pswetrust@gmail.com.
That's it. So first thing I thought we'd do, kind of go through our favourite games this generation. And really, it should give the audience a bit of an idea as to what we're into. So, Phil, do you want to lead off?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to focus more on sort of like the PlayStation games, seeing as we are a PlayStation podcast primarily. My favourite game of this generation was Death Stranding, if I can say the words.
Oh, Death Stranding, what a class game. Death Stranding, definitely one of my favourites this gen. What really appealed to you?
Well, Hideo Kojima really, he surprised us once again with a completely new storyline, universe, which I just got lost in. I couldn't stop playing the game. Loved it from start to finish. I streamed a little bit of it. I know you were on my stream. Really enjoying the intense delivery action.
I tell you what, there's nothing more exciting than watching a stream about somebody walking up a mountain. Got to be honestly, the probably the most boring stream I've ever seen in my entire life.
What are you talking about? It was on fire. I had at least 10 viewers.
I think you broke Twitch for a little while with that view count, didn't you?
But all joking aside, the game is outstanding. Like, the story just gripped me from start to finish. Loved it. Okay, there's a lot of grind in the game, but ultimately, I just wanted to know what was going to happen in the story. It twisted and turned all the way through it, and you just didn't know what was happening.
I went through a bit of a journey with it, to be honest, when I played it. Like,
did you stop and start?
No, I did it all pretty much in like a couple of days.
Okay.
But the thing with me when I played it is, I completed it before you, I think.
Whoa!
But
throwing shade.
No, you got the platinum, mate. You got the platinum. That's something
Thank you.
I'm far off from that. The way the kind of story all unfolds is gradual, isn't it? It's a gradual little rollout for it. Like, you don't meet a load of the core cast until probably halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way through the game.
No, I'd agree with that.
Like meeting Deadman and stuff like that. And not Deadman, Hartman. Isn't it?
He's one of the most interesting characters, isn't he?
For me, from the moment you meet him, it was where the game fully gripped me.
Starts to open up, really, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Absolutely incredible game. Spence, have you played that at all?
Not in the slightest. No.
It just didn't appeal to you, or what?
It looks like a good game, and I see why people could enjoy it, but I haven't given it a go, so it could be for me, but I really feel like it wouldn't. It's a bit too slow, a bit too long. I don't like long games.
Well, it doesn't have to be long. You could just mainline the quest and just do the story really with Death Stranding. You don't have to do all the deliveries.
Well, I'm sure that's what I would do with it, but still, I don't know. It's just not my kind of pace of a game.
Yeah, well, going into it, I didn't think it was going to be my game, I didn't buy a collector's edition. I just bought the standard edition, banged it in, did a couple of deliveries and thought, is that what everybody's talking about with this game? But the more I did, the more I saw the score and the story started to open up, and yeah, I just got a bit lost in it, as I said. It is a different game. I don't know anything else like it.
It's definitely the most unique game of this gen, in my opinion. It's there is nothing else like it. Christ, what other game do you know where you're just chucking bottles of piss at like ghosts? It's just the most random thing in the world. Where one of the main kind of components to you being successful is making sure you go and have a shower and a shit before you go out on an expedition. So random. Such a random game. I agree with you. I think it's an absolutely outstanding game.
It's a mental game. It's unique, and it's what I wasn't expecting, but at the same time, I was expecting it to be mental.
What about yourself, Spence? Let's go to you next. What's one of your games this gen?
Jeez, it's actually so hard to decide, especially because I don't play an awful lot of games. My favourite game, that's Last of Us 1, but that doesn't count. So it has to be Last of Us 2.
Last of Us 1 definitely doesn't count, mate. That's even though it's a remaster on PS4, that definitely doesn't count.
I know. So it has to be Last of Us Part 2.
What makes you say that?
Because I can't pick Last of Us Part 1. But it's basically it's the same game, obviously, but it delves so much deeper into the story. You learn so much more about the characters. The gameplay itself is really good. Hide-in, stealth. The combat is awesome. It feels a lot more challenging and harder than Last of Us 1, which I like.
You didn't get annoyed about all those cutscenes? Because some of those were really lengthy, weren't they?
Yeah, but it's a story-based game, and I love the story of Last of Us. So I wanted more cutscenes. I could have just watched a film, a 36-hour film, and I'd have loved it.
Well, that's what it was, wasn't it?
Exactly.
That's what I thought about the game.
Well,
Really? You thought it was... mate, to me, that... I mean, that's on my list too. Spoiler alert. So I might as well cover it off now. It's on my list.
I think it's on all of our lists, Davey.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Google Doc. It's on all of our lists. We all love the game. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate here and push some controversy into the conversation.
Mate, you definitely don't need to push any. I mean, it's probably the most controversial game on all our lists, to be honest. The backlash from earlier this year was absolutely insane with The Last of Us 2. So over the top. For me personally, it's my game of the generation, Last of Us 2, without a shadow of a doubt. To me, it just hit on everything Last of Us 1 did. It addressed every single question that I had, every single thing that I wanted to know, and then just threw so many emotional moments at me. I've never cried at a video game before, ever in my life. Well, other than on Metal Gear Solid 4 when you go back to Shadow Moses, but that was out of hype, right? That was out of hype.
I remember you crying many a Thursday night after you lost a game of Street Fighter to me. and
well, that is the most amount of shit I've ever heard in my life. I don't think I've ever lost to you in Street Fighter, mate.
Well, you'll only have to go to my YouTube channel to check out the poorly edited video that I've got. No, you're very good at Street Fighter back in the day, even after half a bottle of vodka.
Oh, mate, it's a story for another time. But there is a story out there about how I beat Problem X in. It may have been friendlies, but I still bodied him for a game. So, does that make me a potential Evo champ? Maybe. I mean, that's what I like to believe.
No, it doesn't.
He turned to me right after I took a game. It was like, so I beat him 2-0 in a little set. And he turned to me, he's like, "Oh, we playing?" I was like, "Yeah." And I just got absolutely bodied. I got double perfected, and I was like, fuck's sake, man. And I was like, I thought I'd let you win one. And then I just exited the setup before he could beat me, 2-1.
And this happened in real life, or was this?
This happened when we went to that London Street Fighter 4 tournament. Right. You remember the world qualifier they held in London?
Yeah,
do you remember?
I do remember, but it's better if I don't. So I'll say I don't remember that. I think you're talking complete shit.
Mate, it's not my fault. The problem is, mate, I went further in bracket, didn't I? So you went 0-2, and that was the end of it, mate. That was the end of your routine. Whereas I got that flashy ultra,
mate.
Comms were popping off about.
I play a dry blanker.
You do.
I hold back, and then I give it all at the end and take the win. We digress.
The Last of Us 2. Just an absolutely sensational game. I just think Naughty Dog to me are just like the masters of single player experiences, and for them really to have come as far as they have. If you look back at like Uncharted 1 and compare that to even just the original Last of Us, it's a massive increase in production and in game design and everything. And then Last of Us 2 just takes that and just bumps it up again. I know people are upset about Abby and they're upset about what happens in Last of Us 2. No spoilers, of course.
No spoilers. The game's been out a while now.
It's still fairly
but
recent, mind.
it's such a
still this
monumental
year.
game, isn't it?
I wouldn't want to spoil it for anybody.
Yeah.
And people are pissed off about Abby and then saying she's like transgender and all this shit. The problem is people watch like a stream of it and make a decision rather than playing the game themselves and seeing how they feel. Well, that's my opinion on it anyway.
I completely agree.
When I was looking at the list and I saw that, top of Spencer's list and on your list, Davey, I thought there would be one main reason why you liked that game.
What's that?
It was all the girls kissing, wasn't it?
It only happens once, mate. It only happens once.
I thought you were a big fan of those cutscenes. Watching them on repeat.
The gas mask bong, mate. That's what did it for me.
I just didn't understand that part of the story.
Did you read all the, whilst you're rummaging about near the start, there's all these magazines, and they're basically like PlayStation pornos. So instead of Crash Bandicoot, they had Smash Brandy's Cooch.
Oh, really? I totally missed that part of the game.
That was the DVD. It was videos, wasn't it? Wasn't it like a video
DVDs?
that they picked up?
Yeah, I think so. And there was loads of them. There was like one for God of War, one for Uncharted, one for everything. The only one I can remember is the Crash Bandicoot one, but there were loads.
It's the best one, isn't it? It's the best
Yeah,
one.
Smash Brandy's Cooch is so funny.
With The Last of Us 2 taken, on my list, it'll have to go to my second favourite game of this gen, which is God of War. Now, I know, Phil, you haven't played God of War yet, have you?
No, and you're still trying to make me play the game. I'm very anti God of War. I dislike the franchise. You made me buy God of War 3, and it's scarred me. I never want to go back. Even though you've bought me the new God of War for my birthday, I think probably about a year ago now, coming up.
Yeah.
Well, no, maybe last birthday before maybe.
2018
the game came out.
Yeah. It's been on my shelf for a long time. But no, it's not for me.
Does Phil know where you bought the God of War you gave it?
Is it yours?
Yeah. I mean, I finished it and I was like, sell it to him, just take it off me, please.
I loved it. The biggest selling point I can say for yourself, Phil, is that it's a total reintroduction of the entire series. It plays nothing like the old ones. To a certain extent it does, like in terms of the combat, like the way you can link stuff, and the combat system is really quite intricate the deeper you go.
So it's moved on from being a poor man's Devil May Cry.
And that's ridiculous you're saying that, because it's better than the old ones are better than Devil May Cry, in my opinion. But if you like compare the new God of War to like Devil May Cry 5, there's a huge difference between them now. Whereas before there was a lot of similarities. They're crazy different. The story is absolutely phenomenal. The combat system is great. The graphics are absolutely nuts. The character of Kratos is an actual character now, and the story throughout is absolutely sensational. It's easily my second best. It was my favorite PlayStation exclusive this gen until Last of Us 2 bumped it off. But I loved it. I thoroughly recommend you play it.
The one thing people always talk about when they say about God of War is about how hard the Valkyries. I think that fight, everyone seems to go on about how hard and how difficult that fight is.
Well, the Valkyries, right, what's quite interesting is that the Valkyries are like bosses at the end of every single section. They're just an optional boss. And each one has got its own like moveset. So each one's like its own boss. And each one is fairly challenging, but not too bad. They're all pretty good. You can still pretty much mindlessly mash your way through it. You get into the end of that whole routine after you killed all the Valkyries and you fight the Queen Valkyrie, right? Mm-hmm. The Queen Valkyrie beat the living piss out of me. She literally absolutely demoralized me. I must have tried her probably 30 times. And bear in mind, like, I've completed all the Souls games. I've done all Sekiro. I've done Hollow Knight. I've done all these games that people say are solid. And the Queen Valkyrie, mate, I had to do something that I've never had to do before. I had to lower the difficulty down just to beat her.
You're admitting this to all, our new audience, right?
I know.
These will be people you know.
I know, yeah, exactly. At the start, this is like a church confession.
You'll be walking down the street and people will be pointing at you, going, "There's the guy that lowers down his settings when he can't beat the boss."
I never do it normally. And so
you know me, I always try and play games on hard. Like, what's the point, right? I very much dislike when people go in and they cut back on the kind of functionality, the hard work that the programmers put in, right? So you may as well play it on a good setting. All right, I totally understand what the point you'll probably make is that normal is what they want you to play on.
I think
maybe I'm going somewhere wrong there.
No, I think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
But it depends on the game, in my opinion. Like, it depends on the game and what the purpose of the game is. So, for example, like Last of Us, right? Like we were talking about Last of Us earlier. Last of Us is probably one of those games that is supposed to be played on probably the hardest difficulty to give it a more truer experience, right? Something like Crushing or something like that, where you're going to walk into a room and not find a single fucking thing. Yeah. Because that's more realistic, right?
Well, I played it on normal after your advice, and I found it very easy, that game.
See, I didn't. I struggled, man. I struggled quite a bit, but only on like certain sections. For me, like the dogs just absolutely destroyed me. I was getting wrecked by the dogs. I was getting absolutely demoralized by them. But then I played on my second playthrough. I played it through on Hard Plus, and I thought that was fine. Mm-hmm. So maybe I should have kind of listened to you and diverted to you on that, and gone for a hard playthrough on my first time, because I probably would have adapted to it. But a game like God of War, I started originally on hard, and I got maybe 4 hours in, and then bumped it down to normal. And that was the only reason I did that, was because you're supposed to be a god. You're supposed to be dominating people. Why should some little stupid ogre be an absolute damage sponge? It makes no sense. And it was just prolonging things instead of making the combat feel better. And as soon as I lowered it down to normal and played it through on normal, outside of the Queen Valkyrie, who absolutely kicked the living piss out of me, it was fine. It was no problem.
So these Valkyries, are they what's known as maybe the end game within God of War? Are they something that people like repeat? Because I know with like games like Monster Hunter, they have this end boss, which is very much semi-impossible to beat, right? You know, and I'd assume it's very similar to the Valkyries, where you just keep going back and back and back and back until you sort of finish the boss, but you learn all the different kind of systems that are within this boss to be able to beat it.
No, not really. No? They're a one and done thing.
Okay.
There is endgame content, which these things called the I can't remember what they're called now. So there's something mists. I can't remember. What are they called? But it's basically like this other world that you go into, and it's like a point based system. You got like a time limit, if I remember rightly, and you work through it, killing stuff, and you get more points, and then you can use those points to buy armor sets. And that's like the end game stuff, but it doesn't take that long to do. But if you want to stand a chance against the Queen Valkyrie, you have to have done that. Otherwise, she will rip you apart. Even on easy, when I turned down to easy, and this is bad to admit, even when I turned down to easy to beat her, she still was hard.
Wow.
She was still hard. She's like a massive jump up. Like, you got the rest of the game, and then you got Queen Valkyrie, who will just literally, she'll just literally come over and nick your kids, and you can't do anything but just wave at the door. Bye, take them. I'll have to make some more, because she will just come in and she'll wreck your shit. She is fucking oppressive. I mean, Spence, you played God of War, right?
Yeah, I played it through. I didn't enjoy it as much as most people. I think, thinking back on it, I think I like it more now than I did when I was playing it. The story was brilliant. There was just something about it. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe it was because I hadn't played the prior God of War games. I didn't have the connection to it, you know?
There is quite a lot of ties to it, and it ties pretty much directly into 3, which Phil's played. So that would be quite handy for him when he does play it. I got to be mindful, because I don't want to spoil it for Phil. Even though, like, normally I would just talk about that quite openly now. It's been 2 years. Like, if you haven't played it, then, you know.
We've only got so much time now before the, PS5 comes out. So there's only so many games, which we're going to talk about a little bit later, that we can kind of slot in. And I don't think I'm going to get round to it. It's just going to be another game sat on my shelf that I'll never play, which is sad, really. But
it's sad when you consider that it is definitely one of the best games this gen.
Yeah,
it really is.
Just nothing about it really, resonates with me in any way. Gods and mythology. It's never been my area. I don't know anything about like mythical gods and stuff like that.
I thought you were a bit of a Bible basher, mate. So Spence, what about you? We've done me and we've done you, haven't we?
I think we're back around now.
Yeah, we're back to Phil.
So second on my list, and I don't know if it features on your lists, but it's the Spider-Man game. Quite
Absolutely
surprised
incredible
by it, because there hasn't been that many Spider-Man like good Spider-Man games. Normally, Spider-Man games come out just for the money. It's just a cash-in for a lot of developers. They seem to get that IP, make a game, put it out there, and try and make a bunch of money, and it's terrible.
You and me are like cash cows for some of these developers because
That's what it is.
As soon as they release like a Dragon Ball game, right, I'm on that like a fly on shit. For you, mate, I was thinking more of Transformers for you.
The last 2 Transformer games, woof, they've been good. Rise of Cybertron, oh, what a game.
Yeah,
that
that's
should be
a
on my
biased
list.
opinion.
I know,
That
of
is a
course it
biased
is.
opinion.
Well, you can see my webcam. I'm surrounded by Transformers. It's completely biased.
It looks like a Virgin's Paradise. What I'm
Thanks, mate.
looking at there. It does, mate. It does. Yeah. So what I was meaning by that is like with Spider-Man, like the previous games they had, were like Shattered Dimensions,
Which I bought.
I can't.
Terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't very good, was it? I thought it was quite high regarded.
Didn't enjoy that game. I think there was a Spider-Man game on the GameCube that everyone sort of hyped up about, but that was kind of like the open world version.
Ultimate Spider-Man. It was on GameCube and PS2, and I played the shit out of it.
Yeah, class game.
I very much think this is it's taken all those ideas and just been like, here's a modern platform, let's make a good version of that game. And yeah, it's on my list, comes in at number 2. I tweeted this out earlier in the year. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, incredible game.
Didn't play any of the DLC though. Got a little issue with buying DLC, but maybe that's a different topic for a different day on our podcast. But I know you've bought the DLC.
Yeah, the DLC's good. It's good. It's not great. It's not great. It definitely feels more like an afterthought. And it's a tough thing with DLC, right? Because you don't want to release it too close to the game, because you get into like Capcom and PS3 generation where this like on disc DLC argument comes up where people are like, oh, they've just held it back because they want to make more money, right? So you don't want to release it too fast, and you don't want to release it too long in the future where people don't give a fuck anymore.
How about if you wait a generation and then you launch an add-on to a game from a previous generation?
That's fine. I see what you're getting at here. That is fine. I'm cool with that because it's like a totally different thing.
And then charge you like $70 or £70 or whatever it's going to be.
That's so funny.
Yeah, no, it's true, mate. It's true. I got nothing for that really because yeah, I mean the problem is when you play the Spider-Man DLC, it's the same as the normal game, right? There's nothing new added in. Really, there's like some new suits and stuff like that, but it just feels it doesn't peak anywhere. Like, It doesn't go anywhere with it. It's okay, and it's good, and you get to meet Black Cat, which is always hype, and there's like a nice little love triangle thing going on, but it doesn't really go anywhere. Like, sure. it kind of ends, because it's just a bit of DLC, which they probably don't expect everyone to have played, it can't
Or can't play, in my case.
Well, yeah, you've got a very...
unique situation when it comes to PlayStation, but yeah.
So, yeah, what is that with yours? I know we talked about it privately, but what is the issue?
So I bought PS3. I went to launch for PS3 out in the States, or I went to the States around the launch time, and I bought my PlayStation day one, brought it home, and set up an American account because there wasn't a British account option on there at the time. And all my trophies are now on an American account. On PS3, those sort of days was fine because account sharing was accepted, and you could I could download DLC. That was no problem. I could buy British games and play them on my American account, and I could have British DLC, I could have American DLC, I could have Japanese DLC, and it would all just work. And I even was getting DLC from your account. There was no issues back in those days.
The game sharing was class back in the day because as long as you signed into a PS3, you could then just download whatever's on that PS3 on a different one.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't have to share username or anything like that. So it was fucking awesome. And then PS4 they stopped that, didn't they?
The glory days before subscription methods came into it, before it got popularized by, Netflix and Amazon, before everybody wanted you to subscribe to things, It was free to play online.
To be fair, the PS3 is the same generation as Xbox 360, and Xbox 360 had paid subscription the entire time.
Damn Xbox.
And Xbox One, didn't it? Didn't Xbox just... No, I say Xbox One, fuck
yeah,
me.
Original Xbox.
The original Xbox.
I never played it, so I have no idea.
Well, Dreamcast did. I think you have to pay to play online with Dreamcast as well.
Dreamcast?
Yeah. We'll bring that in, Spence.
That's before your time, that is, Spence. Yeah.
Me and you started on the same console, fam.
What?
Mega Drive.
Sega. Yeah, but the difference was, when I was 6, you weren't even born, fam. That's the problem. So when I was playing it when I was 6, because I'm living like a perpetual prime at the moment. I'm living in my perpetual prime. I'm 31.
You what?
But
who's telling you this? Your mum?
This is what I tell myself to sleep at night, mate. I see the little bags and the crow's feet start coming on my face, and I'm thinking, you're still in your prime, mate. You're still in your prime. Just put the moisturizer on. Just start using moisturizer. You never had to do that ever before in your life. But yeah, like I'm 31. Phil, you're like basically retired now at like 75, aren't you?
Well, I'm living my life Peter Pan style, mate. I'm never aging. I'm like a fine wine. The older I get, the better I get. You think you're in your prime now. I'm in my prime in 5 years. I'm getting towards my prime. I haven't made it to my prime yet.
Because how old are you, Phil?
I'm 35, mate.
35.
Yeah.
All right. I swear you've gotten younger. I
Thanks.
swear you were older than that last time you told me your age.
It's this lovely webcam I've got. It just makes everything look better.
And Spence, you're like what, 13?
Oh man, I'm 22, man. I'd rather be young than old. You know?
Yeah.
I'd rather be further away from death.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, what the fuck were we talking about again?
We digressed heavily. Spider-Man DLC.
Yeah, Spider-Man
DLC.
DLC.
Fuck me.
Because we were speaking about
I'll keep this podcast back online.
Yeah, crack on me. No, Spider-Man is just great. I totally agree with you. It's definitely in it would be on my list. Like, obviously we got Google Docs, so we're looking at each other's lists and stuff. But I would have put it in, but I know it's on both yours and Spence's. It just reminded me so much of PS2 Spider-Man, which was the not Ultimate Spider-Man, which was a good game too, but the movie tie-in for Spider-Man 2, that game. Oh,
we're
delivering
talking
pizza.
Movie tie-in games. What?
That's the one. Spider-Man 2, the movie tie-in for the PS2. That's the one that's so heavily influenced by this. That's the best Spider-Man game ever until this one.
You know this is
Definitely
a PlayStation podcast. This is the first episode. You're meant to be winning over our listeners. You've already told them that you lower down the difficulty and you like movie tie-in video games.
I'm telling you, if you ask anyone what the best Spider-Man game was before this one, everyone would say it's Spider-Man 2.
Ultimate
Everyone.
Spider-Man.
Ultimate Spider-Man 1's good, but it's no way near as good as movie tie-in Spider-Man 2. That is objectively true.
The only good thing about Spider-Man 2, the game, was the swinging, because they proper evolved the swinging for the game. But that's it.
That's just madness, mate. That's just madness.
It's not.
What about delivering pizzas, mate? Delivering pizzas was class.
That's just the swinging.
Yeah,
that's
it's great. But this is the thing. It's not been done right since that game. And so that's what makes the new Spider-Man such a great game, in my opinion. But I don't even have it on my fucking list. I mean, Spence, you got it on your list, right?
Yeah, of course I do. I haven't even bought the game. I borrowed it off of Davey, and that's why everyone should get physical edition, by the way. I love the game. Yeah, exactly. I love the game. I want to put money into it, so I'm gonna hopefully get the remaster on PS5.
What, you're gonna buy the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales, are you?
If it lets me, because I mean, I think it makes sense the way it works, but everyone seems confused, which is if you have PS4 Miles, you get free upgrade and you have to pay $20 to upgrade to get remaster. If you get Miles on PS5, you pay $20, you get upgraded, you get remaster. Or you just buy the Ultimate Edition and you get the remaster. I don't see what's confusing about that. People are just pissy that it's not a standalone purchase.
I mean, I got to admit, when I first saw that news, I remember thinking, oh, this is a bit scummy that they're charging for it. But then I looked at the pictures and realised how much work they'd done, like the reworked lighting engine, the fact that the ray tracing makes it so much better than it actually was before. And you just think, and they've redesigned Peter, which I really like, but I know that's controversial, and a lot of people are going on either side on this. But Peter before looked like a fucking goblin. He looked like he had something wrong with him and he had pubes on his head. And now he actually looks like Peter Parker. And people say, oh, he looks like he's 12. I'm like, he looks like Spencer. And Spencer's 21. Or 22, whatever. So I'm like, he looks the right age for me. Like people say that fucking the actor. What's the actor's name? The guy who plays Spider-Man. They say that Tom Holland, right? That he's in like his early 20s, right? And he's playing a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
But he's in his early 20s. So and that's what Spider-Man looks. He looks like an early 20s kid to me. Like Phil may have looked, 75 at 18, but I didn't grow into this manly facade until I was at least in my late 20s. Like, my face was proper young for years. And still is. I still look young. But yeah, I'm really happy with it. I mean, I don't know where I haven't spoken to you guys about this, actually. Where do you come down on this whole Peter new face look kind of thing?
To be honest, it doesn't bother me at all. Like every comic book you pick up, every version of Spider-Man you pick up, every movie you watch, Spider-Man changes. That's the whole idea of Spider-Man. He's meant to be like multiple different people through multiple different dimensions, surely.
Right,
so
okay.
Ultimately, for me, it doesn't matter, right?
I understand that viewpoint. However, say you watch Spider-Man 1 with Tobey Maguire, right? And then Spider-Man... Oh, no.
I did.
They re-release it in Blu-ray, but it's not Tobey Maguire.
It
That's
depends.
not like...
Who
it's not a
we putting
different
in there?
Spider-Man universe, is it? It's just...
Who we putting in there? You put Schwarzenegger in there instead. Well, it's an actor that fits the role rather than, if you put Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Spider-Man, I might have a bit of a problem with that, right?
The dream. Absolute dream.
A big bulky guy, swinging around, it might be slightly unrealistic unless, of course, he's playing Venom.
Think of the puns, though, mate. Think of the stick around. You just do that to every single person.
That was good.
That's worth the ticket price right there.
I'd watch that film.
That's my ticket. I'd love to watch that film. In fact, Sony, if you're somehow listening, consider hiring us as casting directors, and we can make sure that we give you a unique version of Spider-Man. It might not be what you're looking for, having a 60 or 71-year-old man playing Peter Parker in high school in Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I think it would work.
He's in Mortal Kombat, mate, and he looks good.
He's not in Mortal Kombat.
Isn't he?
Terminator.
RoboCop, didn't he? No, I've totally got that wrong, haven't I?
Oh my god, mate! This is why during lockdown.
See, I don't watch movies.
I used to do these quizzes. These quizzes, right? We used to do, and one of the rounds I did was on Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
quotes,
I got none of them.
God, this is the easiest quiz ever, and Phil got none of them.
Yeah,
so I'm not surprised that you're thinking he's in RoboCop. You've mistaken Terminator and RoboCop.
There we go. Yeah, they're all those type of movies, aren't they? All the same.
They're definitely not. I mean, they're both robots, I guess. The one's a cyborg. I suppose they're both cyborgs. All right. Yeah, there's a bit of
I wouldn't say the Terminator's a cyborg.
He is definitely a cyborg.
He's just a humanoid robot, isn't he?
But he's got. Well, he says he's a cyborg, right? Doesn't he? He says he's a cyborg. So I'd go with whatever he says. I mean, unless he's programmed wrong.
I mean, he is programmed wrong, isn't he?
Only in the first one. It's fine. No. So, Spence, you're on number 2. What's your second pick, mate?
It was Spider-Man, but we've clearly already discussed Spider-Man. So I'll move on, and controversially so, because it's not a PlayStation title. Ouch. But it's Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Ooh, what a game. Yeah. What a game. I saw this on your list, and I thought, I would put this on there. But you beat me to it.
It kind of has to be on my list, just given how much time I put into it. Honestly, I think there are a lot better games than Smash. But the competitive aspect brings it up. Obviously, me and Davey both enter tournaments and compete in Wales. So Smash is kind of a huge part. It's how we met back in Smash 4 Wii U.
Yeah, it was.
So it'd be insane for me not to put this on my list.
You looking forward to the Minecraft character coming into Smash Lands, Spence?
I wasn't. In fact, I was really against the idea. But after watching the gameplay of him, Nintendo put a lot of thought and care into the character. So I'm actually quite happy now.
Well, he's such a big franchise. They've got to make him overpowered, haven't they?
I don't think he's going to be overpowered.
Isn't that how it works? The bigger the game, the stronger the character is.
No, because Palutena is one of the best characters, and she's from a series that is pretty much dead. So, with Kid Icarus. So, it doesn't quite work 1-to-1. But there's certainly a lot of people doing what they typically do in Smash Twitter, which is gassing them up and saying they're going to be the best character ever and saying this is broken and all this. And then when they'll play him, and he'll probably be just a mid-tier or something. I'll say this now. A few episodes' time, we'll probably end up touching on it, and we'll both be complaining about how broken
is that when we
is.
rename the podcast PlayStation / Nintendo
Smash
/ Phil talks a little bit about League of Legends. Done.
Yeah.
Okay.
For my second one, it's going to be Bloodborne. Bloodborne, to me, is my introduction into the Souls series. It was the first one I played, and funnily enough, there was an event, right, in Cardiff, and it was to try out the Order 1886 and Bloodborne, like a couple of months before they came out. And most people were queuing for Bloodborne. I was thinking, what the fuck are these losers doing? Order 1886 is here. Right, I played the Order 1886 demo, and I thought, oh, that was quite fun. And the graphics were so pretty at the time when that was shown on PS4. It looked incredible. And I played it, and I thought, oh, that looks like quite fun. I'll probably pick that up, right? And then I had to go on Bloodborne, and I got wiped. Like, immediately wiped. Being my first time on a Souls game, I didn't last 2 seconds. Funnily enough, I never ended up buying Order 1886, but I ended up completing and platinuming Bloodborne and playing it through 130 or 140 odd hours of Bloodborne play I've done over like 5 or 6 different playthroughs. It's just an absolutely sensational game. Everything about it. The combat is the best in the Souls series, in my opinion. The aesthetic of the game is just absolutely stunning with this whole Lovecraftian horror theme. And I'm just desperate, absolutely desperate for as soon as Elden Ring's done from FromSoft that they chuck out Bloodborne 2. I just fucking cannot wait. I'm just praying every day I go to bed, and I pray to Kos and all the other Bloodborne gods for them just to bless me with Bloodborne 2. But I don't even know if you guys have played it. Actually, Spence, I know you've played it, haven't you?
I've played a lot of Bloodborne. I think I've finished the game 2 or 3 times maybe. It's not my favorite Souls-like game. It's definitely up there. It's probably my second. But yeah, it is a brilliant game. I feel like it's a bit, maybe controversially to say, easier than the Souls games. But
I think it all depends. I don't know. My opinion's probably a little bit strange because it was my first one. Yeah. So for me, I really struggled with it. I was on, the introduction part where you get out of the hospital. Well, you die to the wolf. Obviously, everyone does on their first time they play the game, unless you're some kind of Souls master. And then you're in that first village to start with. You're in the town. Until you fight the first boss on the bridge. It took me probably 10 hours, maybe, to get past that. I was just dying. Just couldn't get used to how the game plays. How just different it is in managing to avoid damage and not just be able to tank stuff. Like, you're so used to just being able to tank fodder enemies. But in this, like, even a fodder enemy can just absolutely one-shot you if you're totally shit, which I was. And so for that whole learning experience over that entire game just really made it so special for me. So then when I went over and then played Dark Souls 3, which I played straight after, and then I went back to play Dark Souls 2 and then Dark Souls 1. They were all subsequently much easier experiences for me than Bloodborne because it was my first one. Did you start with Dark Souls 3 or?
I definitely didn't start with Dark Souls 3. I can't fully remember. I either started with Bloodborne or Dark Souls 2.
Dark Souls 2? Ooh, that game's shite.
Yeah, I do not like Dark Souls 2. It's my friend's favourite Dark Souls, and I think he's an idiot.
That is a mad opinion. It's all right. It's a good game, but it's definitely the weakest one out of the series, in my opinion.
It's the least fun. There's so much more just blocking rather than rolling and good combat.
I mean, I always play a bitch-ass build, so I always play someone with a massive-ass shield, one-handed sword, and just turtle my ass off. And that's how I play Souls games. So that's why I think I enjoy Bloodborne so much more, because you can't play like that. You have to play it in a set way.
So it makes it more fun.
Makes it more fun, yeah. I can't just think to myself, well, that shield's got the best armor stat in it. Looks like I'm using that today. And just go that and strength. And even when I've completed all the Dark Souls games now. And so for me, it's just like, right, well, I say to myself, right, okay, I'm not going to invest in strength. I'm not going to invest in endurance, right? I'm going to do something else. And then I'm 5 hours in, the next thing you know, I've already put everything into strength and endurance. I just can't stop myself. I just can't. I can't stop being a bitch. And that's just the way I am. I don't think you haven't even played any of those yet, have you, Phil?
No, I was going to say, I'm totally new to the Dark Souls. I've never played any of them at all. And of course, we've got one coming up for launch on PS5. Maybe it's an option. We don't know because there's not that many launch titles for PS5. You guys seem to be pretty sold on Dark Souls. Is that something you guys are going to be picking up?
I've already pre-ordered it, mate.
I haven't pre-ordered it yet, but I'm getting it right away. I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's the only one I've missed, so I need to play it. And it's at the point now where, like, my PS3's in the basement. It's not on PS Now, so I've got no option really to play. Well, I say no option. I could literally, it's such a first world problem. I could literally just go down, open my basement, go in and grab my PS3 and set it up. But I'm not fucking doing that. I'm not using the DualShock 3. Like, the DualShock 3 feels like absolute trash after you've been playing with the DualShock 4. I'm not doing that. And in going through can you imagine plugging in the PS3 now in 2020, the amount of installs that you'd have.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I wouldn't be able to play it for 2 weeks. It would just be installing. It'd be a fucking nightmare. It'd be an absolute nightmare. So, Phil, do you want to round us off with the last one on your... Have you got anything else on your list, Phil?
It's a game we've already discussed. It's The Last of Us Part 2. It comes in at number 3 for me. I didn't rate it as highly as sort of Spider-Man and Death Stranding, purely because of the length of the story, and maybe I'm not so as invested in The Last of Us. I didn't play it till quite late on. I didn't play The Last of Us Part 1 when it first came out. I played the remaster. From your advice, Davey, again. Although on that one, actually, you were right. Maybe I should play God of War, I don't know.
A broken clock strikes twice per day, doesn't it?
There it is. But no, thoroughly enjoyed it. And yeah, as I said earlier, played it through on hard difficulty and probably didn't struggle right up until maybe when we got to the sort of last boss where there was kind of 2 bits to him, which broke away. I remember struggling on that for quite a long time.
When me and Spence discussed it on our spoiler cast, which you can have a listen to on my YouTube at SSJ Davey, on YouTube, just have a look at that quick little plug. But me and Spence talked about it for like 2.5 hours, I think, about the game.
Sure.
Yeah, we died shitloads to him as well.
That was probably the sticking point when you were talking about kind of God of War earlier and having that kind of blocker to get to the next part of the content. That was definitely it for me. I spent a couple of nights trying to get around that boss, and
wow, a couple of nights.
Difficult. Why? How long did you take?
I did 6 times, maybe.
Yeah,
right.
Five, 6.
I struggled a lot.
Wow, that's nuts. What were you doing? Just running at him?
Couple of nights.
I think maybe the way I consume games is quite different to the way you guys do. So I generally will have a couple of hours in the evening to play games. So I might play 2 hours, right? And then I go to bed, I got to get out for work, right? I'm not up to these crazy hours you guys are.
You need your sleep, mate, don't you?
That's what it is. I'm getting old.
Well, you were saying you're coming up to your prime, mate. So I'd imagine you'd be fine on 3 or 4 hours sleep.
Maybe when I get a bit older, mate, I might be able to stay up to those later hours that you boys are doing. But no, was playing for a few hours and then I'd just drop it and move on to something else, But yeah, definitely struggled on that boss a lot. But loved the game. It's incredible, and saying earlier about the extended storylines and it being more like a kind of movie, that didn't really put me off. I love all that anyway. It's a nice break anyway when you get to kind of look at a beautiful cinematic and kind of indulge in the story a little bit.
Mm.
No, I totally agree. Spence, what's the last one on your list?
I've got 2 more actually.
Here we go.
Off, then.
Trying to get extra marks from teacher here.
Yeah, mate. The next
one.
one.
Ask for 3. I'll give you 5.
Oh, it was 3 to 5, The next one on my list actually again isn't. Oh, actually, it's on PlayStation, but I played it on Switch, and that's Dragon Quest XI. And my opinion on it, I think it's amazing. I haven't even finished it. I stopped playing it months ago, and I haven't finished it yet. But my opinion of it is still extremely high. I just know I'm trash at playing video games.
So that's just a standard JRPG, right? I've never played a Dragon Quest before.
Yeah, basically.
So, all I know about it is Hero from Smash, and I know there's slimes in it, and that's pretty much all I know. So what is it? Is it like traditional, turn-based combat, that kind of thing, or?
Yeah. It's traditional combat. You basically play as the Luminary, which is like just the destined hero. There's just one grand villain, and you have to go through meeting people, building a team, and then eventually taking on the villain, and that's it, really. But it's a beautiful game. The combat's really well done. All the freaking cutscenes are beautiful. Everything about it. It's an amazing game.
And your last one, then? What's your last one?
Similar to your Bloodborne pick, mine is Dark Souls 3.
Oh, all right. Dece. So what is it about Dark Souls 3 that makes it superior to Bloodborne, in your opinion, then?
Bleed build. The freaking dual daggers. I can't remember which daggers they're called now. But you put bleed build on them, you hit people twice, and their health bar gets cut in half. And it's amazing. I think the rolling's better. Obviously, Bloodborne's amazing, but there's a lack of choice for build and weapons, And
yeah,
Dark
it's a lot
Souls
more
3,
streamlined, isn't it? It's a lot more streamlined than Dark Souls is.
Yeah, and Dark Souls 3, there's a lot more creativity. The bosses are so sick. They're huge, and they're way harder. I think a big reason why I think Bloodborne is easier than the Souls games is because you have, 21 blood vials, 22 blood vials, and you heal when you damage. Whereas Dark Souls, there's none of that. You have you start with 5 Estus, and you
Three
Estus then, and you slowly build it up as you progress through the game. Until Dark Souls 3, you stood still whilst drinking it, and now you just slowly walk. So you're in danger whenever you try to heal, and you have so few chances to heal. I just like the difficulty jump between Bloodborne and Dark Souls 3 for me.
Dark Souls 3 is great. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I loved it. It's my second... It's either my second or third favourite. I love Dark Souls 1 so much. But it definitely feels... After Bloodborne, obviously Dark Souls 3 came after Bloodborne, so they learned a lot from that development and learned about the speed and increased the speed of the player quite a lot. But for me, I always played... Like I said before, I play it always the same. So I strength, big ass armor, big ass shield. I just can't help myself. So I inherently end up playing the game a lot slower than you can play it. And maybe that's the reason why Bloodborne's better, but in my opinion. But that's a fair option. My last one on my list, a little game called Hollow Knight. And Hollow Knight to me is just a masterclass in game design in every single way. It's absolutely phenomenal. I just can't believe the game came out years ago and I just slept on it. I just didn't pay it any attention. It's on PS4 in the Void Heart edition and it is just fantastic. The boss design, the story, the characters you meet, the music, the aesthetic, everything is top notch. It's a Souls game, but not a Souls game. So it's a Souls game with platforming, and that's basically what it is. And it's just punishing.
Do you mean it's a roguelike?
No, it's not a roguelike.
It's not
nothing
a roguelike.
like a roguelike.
I've never played it, so you're selling it to me as well as our listeners here.
Yeah, no. So a roguelike is typically where you have like one life, isn't it? And then you progressively get stronger over each time. That's a roguelike, typically. Like with Rogue Legacy or with Dead Cells, things like that. You have one run, and then when that run ends, you upgrade your abilities and then go forward and do it again.
Sure.
It's not like that. It's a full story. It's a full story where they're basically like, it's an open world kind of design, but they're like stages which are like all interconnected with shortcuts and things like that.
It's more Metroidvania then.
Yeah, it's definitely Metroidvania.
I think
yeah,
that's
it's definitely
it
is a Metroidvania. It is. That is exactly what it is. It's a
got you.
Metroidvania. Honestly, it's just absolutely phenomenal. I don't think either of you guys have played it, but I'd really encourage playing that. I mean, it's on Switch, it's on PC, it's everywhere. So, even if it's just a case of, playing it on your lunch break for half hour or getting home and sinking hours and hours into it, which is what I did, it's absolutely sensational.
So now we've gone through our kind of, picks. Do we pick a winner?
A winner.
What you thinking? The best game this gen?
We've all got top 3s, top 4s, and top 5s. I don't think anyone's stuck to the script here. But there is a game that has repeated itself throughout.
Oh, Last of Us 2.
Then I guess officially, The Last of Us Part 2 is our favourite game of the generation.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, I'd totally agree with that.
Yeah.
We'll put the in PS We Trust
Certified.
stamp of honor. We'll send them the certificate in the post. So Naughty Dog, with you listening, just keep an eye on your mailbox. All right, send someone to the office. I know there's coronavirus, so you probably got no one working there at the moment. Send someone there to pick up a package in a couple of weeks. All right, we'll send you a certificate with a little sticker and a little stamp on it. All right.
Yeah, well done, Naughty Dog.
Well done, Naughty Dog. Good job. Good job. So we've kind of gone through what our games of the gen are, but what are you guys playing right now? Is there anything that you are playing, and is there anything that you want to complete before PS5 comes out? Spence, why don't we just pass it over to you first?
Well, I seem to perpetually be playing Smash, and it's not like it's a game that you can beat. I'm not trying to beat it to completion or anything. You just play it to get as good as you can. But the game's kind of...
Have you completed the story?
I have. I did like the first month it came out. It was terrible. It was no fun.
It was something I completed.
Joe, it's been out for 2 years now, and I still haven't completed it.
There's no point. The benefit is you get to change the main menu music. That's what you get for beating the game. And it's not fun.
How good is that music?
It's,
is it worth doing?
No.
I mean, I've completed it, but I haven't changed the music. I didn't realise that was a perk, to be fair.
Yeah, it's not worth... I mean, it's worth it if you want to experience it, but it's maybe... Cutscenes are good, and like in Brawl Emissary, the cutscenes throughout, and the cutscenes were amazing. And then in this, there's maybe a total of 4 cutscenes, and there's 2 intro cutscenes, and 2 ending cutscenes. It's a terrible experience. I did not enjoy it in the slightest.
Did you find any of the battles hard?
Yeah.
Because I know they mix them up quite heavily, don't they, with a lot of the items. And of course, you boys are pros, so you don't play with items on. So maybe that might have caught you off guard on a couple of those stages.
Well, I'm pretty proficient with items, I'd say, even though I don't like to admit that I am. But it's the spirits that make it hard, because some characters, when you fight them, just don't take any knockback. So you'll hit them with a move, just die. They'll deal 200% in one hit, and there's nothing you could have done. It's not a good experience, and it's not pleasurable at all.
Like for me, like casual Smash to me is just a fucking waste of time. Yeah. Like it's the only time it's ever fun is when you're playing with people that are trash at the game. So it gives them a chance to actually win. But there's nothing satisfying about it, and the thought of me going through a 15-hour odd experience or more for the arcade mode, for the main story, just to fucking change the lifelike music, whatever it's called, no chance. The crazy thing about it, before the game came out, I remember Spence. Did you come over mine to watch the reveal trailer, or there was something that you came over mine for that we watched together?
I came over to watch the direct prior to release, so we watched the Incineroar reveal.
And I remember you knew the lyrics to the song.
Yeah, I love the song. I love Lifelike. I think it slaps.
That's just madness. The song, like especially after 2 years, it does my fucking head in. So I would do anything to be able to change the music, but I'm not forcing myself to go through that. Now, if there was trophies for Smash, like actual PlayStation trophies, I would have done it. I would have done it immediately. But there's not. So I've got no reason to put myself through objective hell.
Spirits, mate.
Just to change music.
You can earn all the spirits.
Fuck spirits. Spirits can get in the bin. It's a terrible system. And it's shocking. Absolutely shocking. But is there anything on your list then that you've got left? Because if I remember rightly, you were contemplating selling your PS4 to save up for the PS5,
yeah,
right?
I was, and I still might. I'm still undecided about it. My PS Plus ran out the other day, and I didn't really have a reason to buy it again, so I've just left it at the moment. And if I was interested in the PS Plus games, which currently is Need for Speed and Vampire is kind of interesting, but I don't care to pay to play it, because I don't think I would play it. The only thing I'm contemplating doing is keeping it so I can play Last of Us 2 again and get the Platinum. But I'm not entirely sure if I will follow through with that yet. I might save it, because I know PS5, we get Last of Us Remastered for free on launch, and I know that's going to be one game I'm really going to want to play again, because it's my favourite game. And then maybe I'll Platinum Last of Us 2.
Do you reckon you'll ever get the Platinum for Last of Us 1?
No, because trophy list is absolute dire dog shit. It's the worst.
Is there any online stuff?
Yes, that's why. I've got every trophy except the online ones. Because there's two teams, what is it, the Fireflies and something else. You have to complete their journeys. And then what that means is you have to spend like 48 hours per team playing it. And if
48 hours in-game time, or what?
Yeah, in-game time. Per team.
This is Last of Us 1?
Last of Us 1.
Oh my god.
And if you, I think it's 8 weeks, because it goes by, each game you play is a day, and you have, a civilization as well. It's terrible, it's so bad. You have your own civilization, and if
Spencer,
you
before
really
you start...
well, people will die.
Spencer, before you start trashing them, remember Naughty Dog is listening. We've just awarded them Best Game of the Generation. So now rip apart their original game.
Well, that's fine. Okay. Mate, I've said... I've already said Last of Us 1 is my favourite game. It is my favourite game.
But you just don't like the online.
The online is the worst experience in the world. The trophy. Why are they including the trophies? I don't understand.
I love it. I think they just do it to annoy you guys who are trophy hunters. They're like, we're going to force you to play some online.
But it works sometimes. Yeah. You think about Resistance 2, right, Phil? That game has a trophy for 10,000 online kills, right?
Which I never got. I was nowhere clear.
I got, baby. It's my rarest platinum, and I got it. I loved it because that online was actually sick, and it was really fun to play. The Last of Us 1 online is objectively shit. It is shit, and the only thing we can hope with Naughty Dog listening to this is that they're obviously working on the multiplayer component for The Last of Us 2. That is being worked on right now, and they are releasing it.
Don't release it.
So please, for the love of fucking God, make it good.
Don't release it. Just don't make it. Just cancel it now.
Just stop. Just stop what you're doing now. People were really upset. Do you remember when they said that Factions wasn't in it? And people were very upset about it.
Yeah, because they're fucking shit. Just those people who complain about it don't care about the trophies. I wouldn't mind the multiplayer if the trophies weren't tied into it, I reckon, because it'd just be a fun little mode you get into after beating the game and trying to get a bit more out of it. But when the trophies are tied into it and you want the platinum, you shouldn't be forced to play it, especially when it's objectively trash.
Okay, Davey, we got Resident Evil 4 online. No, Resident Evil 5 online. Those trophies.
Yeah, we sweated them.
That we sweated. And we have the Last of Us trophies. What are more frustrating to get? Because that Resident Evil 5 online, fucking hell.
That was a sweat. That was
an
afterthought.
Was such a time sweat. That was an afterthought by Capcom. It was terrible.
It was really bad. It was really bad. Like we had such a good experience for Resident Evil 5 that paints it in a much better light than a lot of people, because we played it co-op together, didn't we? Locally,
it's one of my favorite games because we played it co-op. You know,
yeah, it was so much fun, and we played it. We set up. We had two PS3s, which we played over LAN, which we had LAN basically, because we were playing in your room, wasn't it? We set up two monitors, two different PlayStation 3s, and played it through, and it made the grind of that game for the platinum so much fun. Like going back through and then like getting so many kills. There was something about getting so many kills with so many weapons and all these random bullshit trophies that would really fuck me off normally. But it was so much fun just doing it together.
The boss fight, wasn't it? When you're in the back of the car and you have to smash that boulder.
Oh god, yeah. I had to use a fight stick on professional to be able to punch that boulder quick enough because I couldn't mash.
So that's another one of your little secrets just gone out there on the podcast.
Yeah, it sounded like a right bitch
at
the moment.
All these people think you're amazing at games because you come second in all these Smash tournaments, and now they know all your secrets, Davey. You're giving it away.
The absolute burn on that. There's so many burns in that one sentence that I don't think I'll ever recover from it. We'll move on super quick over to my picks before we go over to Phil's. So what have we been playing? So I just completed Undertale for review, and that was really fun. That was a really good game. Really enjoyed it. But it's only a short little game. And the thing I've been really craving for quite a while is Resident Evil. I've been really craving it, especially with Village coming up next year. I am so excited and I cannot wait. And so I thought, right, well, which Resident Evils haven't I played? And out of all of them, what I was interested in is the two games I have missed, which is the Revelations games and Resident Evil Zero. And for some reason, I've never played Zero. Never in my life.
Zero's incredible. I love Zero.
I'm really enjoying it. I'm only about an hour and a half in. I think I'm just about to finish the train section. And I've just been kind of like...
That's like right at the start, though, isn't it? The train section?
Yeah. It's real early. So I'm probably about an hour in, or just coming up to the hour mark. Only started literally yesterday. It's just amazing. It's just so much fun going back to traditional Resident Evil. There's no item box, so it's a bit of a pain in the arse, actually, having to leave items and drop them and stuff like that, and swapping items between the two characters.
Yeah, you have the two characters, don't you? So that's kind of your item box. So you would leave items with one character, and then the other character would go ahead and solve the mystery as such.
But yeah, I mean, I'm playing that. I'm really enjoying Resident Evil Zero. Really enjoying it. Nice change of pace, and just a nice, fun game to tick off the list before we move into the next gen. But the game that I got on my list that I need to have done is Ghost of Tsushima. I need to get it done. I need to. I've had it in my PS4 installed now for 2 months, or since it came out. And for some reason, I just don't want to play it, even though I know I'll really like it.
I've heard that game pronounced so many different ways when people talk about it. It's hilarious.
I'm probably murdering it. Tsushima, right? No, that's how you say it. Ghost of Tsushima.
I think you've got it right, but earlier I was in a conversation, and I swear he said Shishimi? He just totally bollocks up the name, but it's just one of those things, isn't it? Like, a lot of people like it.
Yeah, it's been really really highly rated. Like people talking about it, like saying it's the best game on PlayStation, which I think is going to be fucking ludicrous. I don't think it's ever going to live up to that. But I think it's going to be fun. I don't know what it is that's stopping me from playing it. I honestly don't know. There's something there that's making me just not want to. I don't know if it's the fact that it's an open world and I'm kind of getting a bit of open world fatigue. I don't know if it's that.
Is it because it's a new franchise? It's sometimes hard to adopt a new franchise. I find it very difficult. You know, when a new game comes out and it's super overhyped and everyone seems to like really buy into it early days, and I'm like, well, I know nothing about this game. I don't understand why people get so, over the top with these games. It's,
Well, you like to be a bit contrary anyway, mate. Like, every time I say to you about a game that's good, you never listen to me. Like with Last of Us for years. But I don't think it's that. I think the only thing about it is that I'm thinking, right, well, I've got limited time. Like, I've got kids and I've got a full-time job and everything.
And you've got your YouTube channel?
Got my YouTube channel.
Got the YouTube channel? www.
I don't need another plug just yet. Too many plugs in 1 hour is a bit much. I don't know. I there's something there that's stopping me, and I promising myself I will get it done before PS5. So you have to watch this space, really. What about you, Phil? Have you got anything on your? Actually, you got a fucking ridiculous list.
Oh my!
But what are you planning on getting done?
My list is crazy. I own too many games to ever play in a lifetime, and I'm running out of time. Recently for me, I just completed Resident Evil 2 and Doom, and I'm kind of like
Doom.
I'm a game behind, so I need to complete Resident Evil 3, which I've just bought, and I want to play Doom Eternal. Eternal.
Eternal.
Eternal. Let's get the right words. Eternal before PS5. So they're the two that I want to complete. So Resident Evil 3 and Doom Eternal.
You're missing God of War on that list, mate. I noticed that.
I very much am, and I'm purposely missing it. I think I'm just going to leave it on my shelf as a trophy for not playing this game that everyone loves. Because it's there, I could play it, and it's a choice. It's an easy choice to say no.
Look, I know I've said this before, but Please, write into the podcast, right? Write into the podcast at pswetrust@gmail.com and tell Phil what he needs to do. Tell him about God of War. And if you don't agree, then just don't fucking write in.
Are you putting out?
I don't want to hear it.
Are you putting out our Twitters on this? Because if I get some Twitter spam on God of War after this,
I'll put Twitters at the end.
Okay.
But no, that's fair, mate. I mean, Resident Evil 3 is amazing. I loved it. That's another controversial opinion because that game people were not fond of.
Mm-hmm.
Resident Evil 3 for me is like my second favorite Resident Evil, the original one. So when it was remade, I was really, really hyped for it. And it's different from the original. It is different, but I really like it. I really like the direction they took, and it's different from Resident Evil 2. It's not the same kind of game. It's an action game, just like Resident Evil 3 originally was.
It's a lot more arcade, isn't it? It's a lot like so they released Dino Crisis around that sort of time, didn't they? Between Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3, I believe.
Yeah,
and that got a lot of hype. And I think Dino Crisis moved towards that kind of like arcadey kind of horror game. And I think Resident Evil 3 tried that, but then Dino Crisis 2 actually just like achieved that because there was a lot. You used to go along, blow up all these dinosaurs, and big points would jump onto your screen. I don't know if you got to play Dino Crisis 2.
No. Dino Crisis 2 is. Dino Crisis is one of the games that I just wish would get remastered. And I'm sure that is something that we'll probably end up discussing in a future episode about what we want remastered. But Dino Crisis is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I remember playing the demo on PS1 and being terrified of it. Like, I'd never been massive into dinosaurs as a kid or anything like that. But they're just fucking scary, man.
Yeah, man.
Like, can you imagine, like, them walking around? I mean, granted, if you got a shotgun, they don't stand a chance. Like, they're getting absolutely melted like anything else would on the planet.
But can you imagine them walking around, right? But you've only got the control that you had in Resident Evil 2. Because that was what... Because that's what Dino Crisis 1 was. It was you just walking around, fixed camera, and just being totally scared of all these dinosaurs. Like, I love the game. I've got both Dino Crisis 2 on PS1, like original copies. So they are incredible. Dino Crisis 1 is, yeah. But Dino Crisis 3, that changes it again. Every step, they like completely change like the way they make that game.
What do you reckon it was? Do you reckon they were just trying to figure out something to differentiate it? Or were the sales not there? I don't even know what the reason is. With Dino Crisis, I haven't even looked into it as a series, really.
I'd assume it's down to money, like everything else, mate. But, you know, they went for space dinosaurs, I think, in number 3. I think they took it to outer space.
I mean, that's the logical step for everything,
obviously,
isn't
yes,
it?
yes.
I mean, like, you look at Bioshock, right? We've been under the water, we've been up in the air, the next thing's space. If the next Bioshock isn't in space, then I'll fucking eat a hat. Like, I literally, it's got to be in space, it has to be. But yeah, Resi 3, class game. What was the other one? Doom Eternal, right?
Doom Eternal.
Fucking phenomenal game. Best shooter this gen, easy. Easy.
Absolutely love Doom 1. It reminded me of the heyday. You know, that's where I started with the original Doom. But it's just got an incredible soundtrack. You know, like you have to play that game on 11. Turn it all the way up in your dining room, in your living room, in your gaming room, in your bedroom, wherever you play that game. The soundtrack for Doom. Oh, those tunes. Incredible. I remember so many times Laura walking in after work. I'm there playing Doom, and she's like, "What the hell is that noise?" And I'm going around blasting, obviously all these demons with shotguns, and it's blasting out metal music. Yeah, it's an incredible game. I can't wait to play the next one.
Doom Eternal just takes everything that's great about Doom and then about Doom 2016 and just enhances it. Yeah. It's an objectively better game. It's amazing. It's so good. It's definitely the best shooter this gen. You'll fucking love it. It's a must play. It's a must play.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is a must play, but it's a game that I avoided for a long time. I think I bought it and it sat on my shelf for a long time, and I was just waiting for the right period to play it. And I think once I finished Death Stranding, I just wanted something a little bit, that I didn't have to think about. And Doom was exactly that. I could just jump in anytime, press forward and press shoot, and just sit back and enjoy the graphics and the music, and that's what Doom was. I don't feel like it was challenging, apart from maybe like the boss fights, or the last boss fight was semi-challenging. I know you guys laughed at me for taking a while on The Last of Us, so let's not admit to any other hard games that I've played. I don't want this to be a super elitist, podcast. I am your everyman.
I've already admitted having to turn it down at easy for God of War. And using a fight stick to fucking punch the boulder in Resi 5. There's nothing elitist about this. If anything, we're more ableist than anything else.
I'm just playing it on hard and suffering, mate. That's the difference.
Fair dues.
Yeah,
you are. You're just a sucker for punishment, mate. But no, it's incredible game. Speaking of games, has anybody pre-ordered COD? Because the open beta started yesterday for... we're recording this on the 9th, by the way. We're recording this on the night of Friday, the 9th of October. Has anybody here pre-ordered COD Black Ops for PS4 or 5 and taken part in the beta?
Well, I played the alpha. I have not pre-ordered the game, even though I think it's a massive step up from previous Call of Duties. I think it feels amazing. The guns are class. Combat's great. And I'll definitely get it. It's definitely a purchase, but I haven't pre-ordered it yet, and I don't think I will. I'll probably get it more around Christmas time.
Is this Treyarch's offering?
Yeah, it's Treyarch.
Or Infinity Ward. Treyarch, you're saying, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to get zombies with this version?
We are getting zombies, yeah. Okay. And it looks insane. They've changed it a bit, whereas in the old zombies, obviously, it was the way it looked. But now, from what I've seen, it's a lot darker, and your character's carrying a torch, on their chest. Right. So your visibility is only really directly in front of you, and other than that, it's all the 3D sound that we're going to have.
Oh, that sounds mint. That sounds so good. I haven't seen the trailer, so I'm blackout. I know I'm going to buy it, but I'm kind of the same as you, that I've already pre-ordered 2 games for PS5 already. So I know I'll get it, but I don't feel the need to pre-order it.
Yeah, exactly.
But that kind of brings us into what a normal episode of this show is going to be, which is mostly kind of focused around a big topic. The big topic for today is going to be around the PlayStation 5. So we're going to be talking about what our experience was with pre-ordering it, what we're hyped up about with the PS5, where do we order from, where do we buy, all those kind of things, what kind of games we've got with it. But then we're going to move into some of the big news that's come out over the last couple of days in regards to the PS5 after the teardown video and what that means going forward compared to the competition. So, Phil, we might as well start with yourself. I mean, how hyped are you for PS5, and have you pre-ordered?
I think I've already given away the answer to this one. Yes, I have pre-ordered. I managed to secure a PlayStation from Amazon. And yeah, I don't understand what all this all this chat is about, really, with pre-ordering and the difficulties people fell into, because I logged on at 9, refreshed the page, and I pressed buy. There's not much more to that, really. Of course, I'm very blessed that I can be on a PC at work. And I was actually in my morning meeting discussing what I was going to be doing for the day. And I said, guys, give me 2 seconds. I'm just going to order my PlayStation 5. And then I went back to work.
I'm exactly the same. For me, now granted, I don't work in a job that I'm on a PC that can access the outside internet between the hours of 9 to 5. For me, it was a case of, right, we just watched the PlayStation announcement, saw all the hype games. Me and Spence were up chatting after it, and we were basically saying we can't sleep. We were too excited.
Yeah.
Like Christmas.
Like
Literally,
it was Christmas. It was like
that's what we've
Christmas.
discussed.
It was such an amazing showcase. In my opinion, just really put Xbox on the back foot, which I think they've answered to now, but they were on the back foot at that time, especially. And literally, I got into bed, and I thought, fuck it, I'm gonna have a look on the game. And it was 1 a.m, and they had pre-order showing.
Oh wow!
I was like, what the fuck? They're not supposed to show that until the next day. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it. Right? Went through the pre-order cycle, and it just kept crashing. And I was like, oh, this is weird. Maybe I'm not supposed to do it. And I was like, well, fuck it. I don't normally go to bed till 2 a.m. anyway. I'll just keep going. And literally did it and got it through, got it pre-ordered. I couldn't go on and sign into my account. That's what kept crashing to get points. And I don't order anything from game anyway because they're like fucking loan sharks.
Whoa. Let's not cut them off straight away, Davey.
No, let's cut. I'm going to make a stance on it, right? Unless you lower your prices, you're going to be out of business.
Game, you can sponsor me, not the rest of this podcast.
They need to get in the bin. They are literally
in the bin.
They are pointless. Like, there's no point in ever buying from them ever, unless it comes to a console release. They're so outdated. Their prices are ridiculously high.
So you don't think what they're doing with Belong is a good idea then?
I think it's all right. I think it's okay. I mean, I'm just not into that kind of
before COVID. Before COVID, I thought it was a banger of an idea.
I think, I do. Belong, I think, is the stance they need to take in terms of making their business something that will go forward. You need to be able to get a local community behind your store. And I think that's what any independent game retailer does now, is they try and have these special nights either for board games or for, different communities that you can foster in your store and hopefully sell products that way. But game, being the fact that they charge, you'll have a game that you'll buy from them, right? You'll complete that night, take back for return the next day. And they'll price it up for 70 quid or whatever, 60 quid. And they'll say, okay, yeah, we'll buy it off you for 22. You're like, fuck off, mate. Like, are you mad? And I just think you can go on Shop2 for the majority of things. You can go on Shop2, you can get it for 10 quid cheaper and have it delivered to you a day before it comes out.
Or any other retailer. We're not biased in any way. There's lots of alternatives out there, some good ones and some bad ones. But let's not always go with Shop2 or Game or Amazon. We're not sponsored by any of them yet. But if they do want to sponsor us, my Twitter handle is @PhilipHoy. And I do answer my DMs. They are open.
But going back to Game, I think they did a solid because they fucked up, really, is what happened. They weren't supposed to post the pre-orders the time they did, but they had them up. So it just meant I was able to go on, pre-order it at 1 a.m. And the scary thing was that I got my PayPal receipt to show that payment had been taken, but I didn't receive a confirmation email.
I think I would have been pissed off, right, if I hadn't been able to log on at the time they said and just buy it, right? And I think that's probably the experience for a lot of people, that they logged on, and because these pre-orders went live earlier than the time that was expected, that's why people got annoyed, right?
I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you, and it's definitely the retailer's fault that this happened. It's definitely
it's not
the retailer's
Sony's fault, is it? They said you can release it at a certain date, and the retailers thought, do you know what? We're going to try and get our money earlier.
Yeah,
and they let people buy it, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, and
it's just greed at the end of the day. That's all it is.
Yeah, it totally is, and people were shitting on Sony and saying, they've handled it so badly, they've really fucked up, they've made us, they've made everyone really like sweat for it and all this. But I suppose maybe it's a bit of 50-50. I mean, like, spoilers for when we get onto Spence in a minute, but all three of us have pre-ordered it. We've all pre-ordered it, and we've not had any problems.
I was just going to say, do you know anyone who hasn't been able to pre-order? But
no, literally no one.
Really? Well, what's the problem then? If you're serious about video games, you got on at 9 o'clock, or you went on the day earlier and bought it. I think it's only people that were a bit lackadaisical about it, that maybe logged on a bit late and thought, oh, do you know what? I can't order it. Well, usually that's what happens with pre-orders. They sell out super fast.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do you know, I went on to... I can kind of relate to this a little bit because, like, I have no interest in buying the Xbox, right? But on the date the Xbox One S pre-orders went up, I was like, do you know what? It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's it. So, I can't get the names right. The names are fucking ridiculous.
Xbox naming conventions are fucking
Trash.
terrible,
Abhorrent,
man.
yeah.
They're
Like,
so
oh
bad.
my god, that is the worst thing. And when people talk about it, they're so concise with the way they're like Xbox X, Xbox this, it does my head in, really. Just stick to the numbers.
Did you hear that Amazon Xbox One X, which is this gen, not next gen console, went up by 700% when
Good.
the Series X
Good.
went live.
So all the people that didn't know what they were buying bought the wrong console.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Fuck, it's so that is divine justice. Because
Basically, it's an intelligence test by Amazon.
It is. It pretty much is because. But this is the thing about it, right? Like, I wasn't overly keen. I'm not keen on buying an Xbox, right? The Game Pass looks great, so I was thinking, right, well, maybe I should get one for like $299 or whatever it is, $250.
$250, but for $250, that's a hell of an offering.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's class.
Oh my god,
yeah, it's class.
So good.
Sure, it's only a little bit more powerful than this generation we're on now, but just to be able to access all their first party games, I think that's pretty good. So I was like, well, it's 3:00 in the afternoon. I'm on lunch in work, on a late lunch. I thought, I'll check it out, see if I can order one. Couldn't get in; they're all sold out. Right, that's my fault. Like, if I was keen and I actually wanted one, I would have been on it from the moment they went live.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. And with my experience, I literally just clicked through on game, put it in the basket, chose not to take points, and it was done. And then granted, I had to email customer service and be like, can I just double check my order's gone through? Because I never received a confirmation email. And they said, yeah, it's fine. It's all gone through, no problem. After I pre-ordered, I've gone down and I've pre-ordered on Amazon, Demon Souls. So that's on order. And then I went down to game because I'm going to try and pick up my console at midnight on the day of release. And pre-ordered Spider-Man, so it'd be ready for me to collect that night.
Have you booked the day off?
Yeah, I put the week.
The week
I'm off from that day, from the 19th, for the following week.
You're on a different level than me. I think coming to this podcast, I represent the casual gamer.
I got to tell you boys something. I got something that's really, really fucking annoying, actually.
Do you want us to mute the mics?
No, this is fine.
Oh,
go out.
Okay.
But no, I'm sure there's people out there that will be able to resonate with this. I had an email from Amazon, earlier this week.
Okay.
And they said to us, here's an update to your pre-order. Please check, right? So I was like, okay. So I have a little look, and it turns out that they're sending me Demon Souls on the 12th of November. So I get it a week before my PlayStation 5 is actually released in the UK. Do you know how fucking annoying that is?
So what?
It means I'm going to be staring at a game that I can't play for a week. It's like on Christmas.
What are you going to do with it?
Fuck knows. I'll just put it as a doorstop for a week.
Going to carry it around with you, and then people will be like, "That's the guy who turns down his games." Demon Souls is meant to be difficult.
You can't turn down difficulty in Souls, mate. It's only one. Just get good or die. Do you know, one of the cruelest things my mum ever did to me, right, was when I was a kid. It was the week before Christmas, and I was hyped, right? And she was like, I was like, Mum, can I have a present early? She was like, yeah, here we go. And she gave me Tekken Tag Tournament for PS2 a week before Christmas. So I meant I had this game sitting there, and it was a launch title for PS2. So it confirmed that I had a PS2 for Christmas, which was hype, because I thought I would do anyway.
She just gave you the game.
But she gave me the game, and I couldn't do shit all with it for a week.
Oh, man.
How cruel is that? And she probably didn't understand. She probably didn't understand that I needed the PS2 to do that. But she gave me the game, and I had to stare at the game for a week. I read that instruction manual front to back, bro. I knew every combo before the game even came out. I was sweating it, practicing combos on my PS1 controller before I even had my PS2 unboxed.
Right, but
that is cruel.
Like, alternatively, what would she have done? Given you your main present, the PS2, and you'd have had to stare at the boot up screen every day until
that
Christmas.
would have been cruel.
Because
she could have just given me socks. She could have just given me socks and say, right, jog on. And then, fine.
Yeah, but that's not what you wanted. You wanted your PS2. You know you did. But you just didn't think about it.
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah,
you did that to yourself.
And that's the reality of life, unfortunately, is that you don't get what you want. And so I'm getting the same thing now, in that I'm going to have Demon's Souls a week before the fucking console comes out. So I'm going to stare at a fucking gorgeous copy of Demon's Souls ready for me to open it and play it for an entire week, while all the Americans are loving the game, and I got to wait a week.
Do you know what sucks as well? Fuming. What's different? What makes it harder from your previous experience is games don't come with manuals anymore. You can't even read the manual.
I know. I can literally just look at the back of the disc and that's it. I can literally look at the disc art and then look at the back of the disc, and that's it.
It would be like, oh, the file size, 60 gig, decent. That's it.
And then the worst thing is, I'll have to put it into the PS5 and then wait for it to install.
So
I can't even play it. I can't even play it immediately either.
Put it in the
It's just
PS4.
cruel.
Put it in the PS4, mate.
I will. I'll try it.
See what
I'll be that
happens.
guy who does it.
See what happens.
Can you imagine my PS4 just explodes?
No, put it in your PS4. Imagine there's some Kojima-esque hidden, cookie there. Or what do they call it when they hide things in games?
Easter eggs.
Easter egg. Yeah, imagine there's some sort of PS4 Easter egg within this game that you put it in and it boots up and it gives you some sort of special item or something for your next game. It'd be incredible. If you get it,
come up as
day one, I'm putting my name on it. There's going to be something hidden on it. Put it in.
No
I reckon
chance.
it's probably going to come up and say "jog on, mate."
All
It'll
right.
probably say, "What the fuck is this?"
They'll say,
It'll
oh,
probably,
boo-hoo.
Yeah, it'll say you should have pre-ordered.
All right, okay. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But it's worth a try, isn't it? At the end of the day.
No.
But it's a sick idea. If a game producer
It's a great idea.
knew that the games might be released slightly earlier than the console in certain countries, that you put some kind of Easter egg into it.
I mean, there was always things like, do you remember there was a PS1? We're going proper off topic here now, but
Okay.
there was a PS1 game. There was a Wu-Tang 36 Chambers.
Yeah,
Do you remember that game?
The fighting game, yeah?
Yeah, the fighting
Yeah.
game. And if you put it into a CD player, it's a full Wu-Tang album.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's that
sick.
type of thing. It's that type of thing
Yeah,
I
it's
love.
fucking amazing.
Where it's hidden behind the scenes.
Helped that game was sick as well. It was a really fun game back at the time. Proper gory, proper inspired by Mortal Kombat. So gory, but it was actually a decent fighter. It was really good.
Fighting at petrol
But-
stations, if I remember rightly. One of the
Yeah,
stages
yeah, and
was
in
just
like
a
a-
petrol station. Yeah.
In a pit as well.
Yeah.
You're just in a pit.
Yeah.
And he just plays, Ghostface Killer and Method Man and all that. And he had a sledgehammer, if I remember right. Class game.
Incredible.
So you didn't say, Phil, were you pre-order? Did you pre-order any games with it or what?
Yeah, I went for the DLC for Spider-Man. It's actually my birthday, very, very close to the launch of PS5. So I'm expecting that as a present. But, it's open.
What, the PS5?
No. I bought the PS5. I pre-ordered that myself. But possibly people will like to buy me some games, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, I'll tell you what, I bought you a game.
You did,
and it's sitting there.
I'm not going to
So-
play God of War.
Oh, fuck's
If this
sake.
is our continuous story throughout all the podcasts that we record, is Phil play God of War. Maybe we'll do a special, right? And I'll play it and I'll just rinse it because I fucking hate it.
If you don't like it, that's fine.
Yeah.
We have the PlayStation Collection on launch where we get the best games of last gen, and you get God of War on PS5.
Oh well.
The problem is, Spence, you're opening a can of worms here that I didn't know we were going to open today. And that is that Phil is totally against PlayStation Plus, and I have no fucking idea why.
100%. Why am I paying for stuff? As a subscription.
What?
Why am I paying for stuff that I don't want?
You get free games every month, AAAs.
Yeah, but they're games I haven't chosen.
That's it. Oh, that's so bad. That's such a terrible opinion.
Why?
It's terrible,
Why
isn't it?
do I want them? Right. So
Just don't
the
buy
whole thing-
PS Plus then.
No. The whole thing of PS Plus is so you can play online, isn't it?
Sure.
Yeah.
And the way I
And you get cloud saves. Cloud saves are really good too.
Okay, so the way I consume games is obviously quite different to you guys. I'm much more of a casual gamer when it comes to PlayStation, and I play single player games, and I tend to play them offline. So why do I need the subscription to play online?
Just think about the amount of games that you've missed out on that me, Willard, and Spence have been playing. You'd be like, oh, yeah, I'll really be up for that. And then you're like, does it have PlayStation? Do you need PlayStation Plus? I'm like, obviously, yes. You're like, oh, I'll leave it then.
No.
So then you've got to sit on your own, just have a wank in the room.
No, but
Instead of being able to play a game with the rest of the boys.
games like
And that's your choice.
But games like Fortnite, they're forward thinking. They've got around this system somehow, and they're like, yeah, you can still play
Because they're free. It's because they're free to play.
Yeah, free to play, and you can play online using the PS or PlayStation Online system. So why do I need to pay a subscription service to play online fucking Last of Us?
For me,
I don't
For me,
I don't
and this
need to
might-
pay that, do I? It's just another subscription method which I don't need in my life.
this might blow your head, but it turns out if you just get one of those games from the 24 that you get, 24 plus per year, because some months you get 3 games. If you just have one of those games that you enjoy, it's already paid for itself.
Do you
Just one.
Do you think I'm lacking games? You're on webcam with me, and like, I don't need any more games. I don't need a bigger back catalogue. I've got a lot of games to play.
I think the root cause of this, Phil.
Go on, then.
I'm going to
Go
do
on,
a bit
hit
of
me.
managerial.
Hit me.
Your root cause is that you play too much League of Legends, mate.
That's
your root cause.
To be honest, I don't play a lot of League of Legends. I watch a lot of League of Legends. I'm very much just a viewer on Twitch more than someone who plays a lot of it. I'm hard struck bronze. I'm not even good. I'm not even good at the game, right? I'm building up at the moment.
Oh my god!
I'm not sure if Davey understands that, but you do.
I can imagine it means you're pretty trash.
No,
Yeah,
Being in bronze is never good.
To be honest, I just don't really play the game. Not very often.
Well, blow me down. Because I thought you play a lot of it.
No,
so
I
thought
watch.
that was where you
I
were
watch
wrong.
a lot of it. I watch a lot of League of Legends
Okay.
more than play. To be honest,
I take it back. But to me, PlayStation Plus is like one of the best deals in gaming.
I think it's insane.
Outside of Game Pass, it's amazing. Like even just last month having Fall Guys, I'd never buy Fall Guys ever, but having it for free, it just means that you just got something that you can think, oh, do you know what? I got a spare 20 minutes, spare half hour or whatever. Let's just have a couple of rounds of Fall Guys. It's just something fun with no effort involved that I'd never buy. That's just really fun. And for me, I've played so many games. My eyes have been open to so many games through PlayStation Plus. Like even on PS3, I played Fallout 3, which was on PS Plus on PS3. That's my first time playing it, and I platinumed it, and that's what got me into the Fallout series. Not Fallout, Far Cry series. That's what got me into Far Cry, and it's just a great service. But no, that's fair. That's fair. Maybe I'll buy you PS Plus for your birthday.
I think when you've got limited time, you've got to make the right choices. And considering the games I've chosen for my top 3, and you agree on 2 of them at least, then I haven't done that bad, have I, when it comes to PlayStation?
No, that's true.
That's true. Fair enough. I'm not paying money a month to play all these mini games that they give you.
You have seen what comes with the PS5 if you've got PlayStation Plus, though, right?
Mate, like, what? Okay, what is it this month?
Don't worry about this month, Spence. Pull up the list.
Pull
up the list.
What?
Pull up the list for what's coming. What you get day one on PS5. Pull that up.
What are the games this month on PS Plus? Come on.
They're Vampire and Need for Speed.
Don't care. I don't like driving games. I've never heard of the other game.
Right, that's fine. But if you have a PlayStation subscription...
But I don't play PlayStation Online.
No, that's fine.
I don't play it.
All you need to do is spend £6 for the first month, of PS5, and you get Arkham Knight, Battlefield 1, Bloodborne, Days Gone, Detroit Become Human, Fallout 4, Final Fantasy 15, God of War, Infamous Second Son, Monster Hunter World, Mortal Kombat 10, Persona 5, Ratchet & Clank, Resident Evil 7, The Last Guardian, Last of Us Remastered, Uncharted 4, and Until Dawn.
So I own the majority of those games. I don't need to pay for it.
I mean, that's fine, but,
Because I buy physical copies of games, I don't need to buy the subscription method. It's the same, I suppose, with CDs and Spotify, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the same argument, right? You either buy a subscription method, so you pay £15 a month, or you own a CD collection, right? Like my music taste is, 90s Kerrang, right? So I own all those CDs. So why would I buy Spotify?
I mean, the thing for me is that if it was debiting my account on a monthly basis, I'd agree with you. It would probably do my head in, especially when there's some months that I think, well, actually, I'm kind of invested in single player stuff, so I'm not going to play anything online. But for myself, I can only speak for myself, obviously. I normally buy mine on an annual basis. So it's like, on paper, it's like 50 quid. But when you get a code and you get like 35% off, or you go onto like cdkeys.com and you buy 60 quid's worth of PlayStation credit for 35 quid, and then I can literally just buy it for that.
Yeah.
And I think, right, 35 quid for the year, that's fuck all. Whereas if I was paying for it monthly and it was like, what, £10 a month or whatever it is normally?
$6.99 a month. It adds up to like 80 quid, 85 quid.
Fuck that. But if you buy it on an annual basis, it's so affordable, and for what you get in return for that is just incredible for me. It's the same reason I think about PS Now. Like PS Now I bought on a sale they had on PSN, so I've got it for 25 quid, I think it was. 25 quid for the year. And I've already played Hollow Knight. I've already played Tokyo Jungle again. Went back and played that on PS3. I played like 4 or 5 different games now.
Sounds
all
like it's
from
worth the money, mate. A game you've already played and a game that I've never heard of.
There's loads of Resident Evils on there that I haven't played before. So like they got Revelations 1 and 2, so I don't have to buy them.
Which I own.
I played
Sonic the Fighters,
I got
Battle for the Grid.
Sonic the Fighters. Oh, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. What a great game. Like loads,
Sounds incredible. Sounds incredible, guys.
But yeah, no, fair enough. I'll leave you alone on that one.
We all consume gaming differently, and the choice is there. And ultimately, I've made the choice not to go for PS Plus.
See, I think your opinion would be different if you bought a UK PS3.
I have a PC, so gaming online is PC. Single player, I play on my PlayStation.
That's fair.
So I don't need online.
That's fair enough.
So doubling back to it then, Spence, what's your experience with the PS5?
It's been a long derail. But
there we go.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it on September 25th. I woke up, we saw there was an announcement that it was going to be pre-orders the next morning. So I woke up, I think 7 a.m. or 9 a.m. or something, and stayed up until maybe about 11, and no pre-orders were out. So I was like, I fell asleep. And then 20 minutes after falling asleep, I woke up to messages off you and our friend Ray, just saying, the pre-order's live, and I was like, oh fuck. So I was 20 minutes late, I assumed the pre-orders were going to be gone. I hopped on my PC, refreshed game, and pre-ordered, like, in a second. And it crashed once, I think, because I was trying to log in. Then as soon as I just did it as a guest, it did it right away. And it was super easy. I got it with Spider-Man Miles Morales. And hopefully, the base version can just be updated or upgraded to Spider-Man Remastered. I still need to pre-order Demon's Souls, but I'm not sure if I will yet. I might just get it after the fact, because I know Spider-Man's going to be the first game I'm going to play.
Yeah. I think that's the same for me. Like the first on my hit list is going to be Miles Morales, just because I'm worried about spoilers.
Yeah.
So whereas with Demon's Souls, you know what they're going to spoil a boss that's from a game from PS3, like there's no issue there. But Miles Morales could have something juicy happen.
Exactly.
And I don't want that. I don't want to find that out first on Twitter.
See, I think we're in a sticky spot anyway because America gets it first. We're a week late. So we might get spoiled regardless, but it's better to play it sooner rather than later if you're trying to prevent that.
Historically, has it been this way with releases previously, you know? Do we get them this far back from America?
It differs. It always differs.
Yeah. I've never experienced it because generally I'm very lucky that I go out to America, you know, every year, and it's usually around the time where consoles get launched, so I'm able to pick them up. But, you know, have you experienced this in the past?
So PS4, we were lucky we got it day and date. It was if I remember rightly, it was like us and it was Europe and America that had launched in first, and it came to Japan later.
Okay,
which was really
crazy.
Strange.
That's crazy.
But it was one of the big moves that made it the most successful console on launch of recent memory. Anyway, don't know about the PS2 at launch. That might have been the biggest one ever. But PS4 at launch was absolutely monumental. Selling what, like, was it 3 million in 2 days or something? It sold loads.
No idea.
And that was mostly because they launched in the American market and the European market majorly, because the European market is pro PlayStation by a massive majority, huge majority. Like even on PS3, Xbox 360, right, where 360 had like a big market share to start with, and PS3 had to catch up. Europe was predominantly PlayStation and always has been, and so it's quite surprising to me that Europe aren't getting a day and date, and I think a lot of that is probably just down to the coronavirus more than anything. I think they would have wanted to do a worldwide launch for all the major territories day one.
Out of the list of countries they had for the delayed release, it was UK that was like, that's strange, because they had like New Zealand and Australia, didn't they, as like a delayed release, and generally they get things slightly later than us. But for UK it's so strange. But yeah, I guess we can only put it down to the coronavirus, really.
Yeah, I mean, but PS3 was a similar situation. PS3 we got later than the States. So you had your PS3. You had one of the. I got my PS3 when Uncharted launched, so I got it a few months after release, probably a year after release. I'm not sure what year Uncharted 1 came out, but that's what I bought with my PlayStation 3. But you had one of the original 60 gigs with the backwards compat, if I remember right.
I had backwards compatibility and I had the SD cards and
Oh, and you had the 6-axis then instead of the DualShock 3.
Old school, like
I
the
had
original,
mine when it was still a 6-axis, so that was still a thing when I had mine. The DualShock 3 hadn't come out yet. I actually remember I got my DualShock 3 4 months or so before it came out in the UK,
Right.
because I pre-ordered it from Japan, so I got it in white.
Oh.
And I pre-ordered it and imported it from Japan.
I don't think I ever used the DualShock 3 because I know I had my PS3 early. I definitely had the 6-axis because I played I can't remember what the game was. But you like on the online you could throw a boomerang and you throw it and you control it with the 6-axis, and that was like the whole shtick. But I don't think I've ever even held a DualShock 3 because my PlayStation got stolen like maybe 2 years after I had it, and I only had the one controller throughout.
Shit.
Ouch.
So
that sucks, dude.
it happens, doesn't it?
It's been a good generation that we've had to endure with having everything day and date, but this is the only thing I can imagine that's why our market's being left out. But that also goes to show why we got such a heavy PlayStation marketing push in UK at the moment. Everything I see, like on anything I'm watching, seems to be some kind of PlayStation advert at the moment.
Yeah.
On YouTube and everything, and maybe that's why. Because the Xbox is launching earlier in this territory than PlayStation 5. Maybe that's why they're focusing on us for marketing. But it's interesting nonetheless.
I know Cyberpunk is a launch title, kind of. Like it comes out before or like the same day as PS5 in America, but it's not considered a launch title or something.
Oh, really?
It's coming out day and date with PS5 in the States. And they've already said, CD Projekt have already come out and said that they're letting people upgrade it for free. Like there's no, you just put your PS4 disc into your PS5 and it will upgrade to the next best version, which is really good.
Is that a game you guys are excited about?
Not at all.
Yeah.
I feel like I should be, and I feel like it will be a brilliant game, but I feel no hype towards it in the slightest. I'd rather play Sackboy's Big Adventure before I play Cyberpunk.
I think the whole hype with Cyberpunk is the whole progressive story. That there's lots of different ways that you can go through the story, isn't it? That's the big selling point, isn't it? Apart from the stylistic choices to be very futuristic and kind of like cyberpunk-esque.
So
Davey, is that something that you're going to pick up, or?
I mean, it's a little bit tricky because for me, I played The Witcher. I played The Witcher 3, and it was good. It was good. The problem with it,
but with The Witcher, there's only one story, isn't there? It's you don't have the choices that you would have in Cyberpunk. I think that's the addition, isn't it?
No, there's a lot of choices in The Witcher, and there's a lot of different ways your story can go in terms of keeping key characters alive and what happens to them and everything else. But the problem with The Witcher is, in my opinion, there's just too much content there.
Right.
It's too long. I played that game for 80 hours, right? 80 hours. That's a goddamn long time. And I made no progress in that game at all. I literally made no progress. I'm literally probably a third of the way through the story, just because there's too much to do. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing that excites me about Cyberpunk, because I'm not really in the mood for an RPG right now, the thing that excites me about it is that they said that it's a more streamlined single player story, so it's not as long as The Witcher.
Okay,
and that interests me because I'm like, okay, well, I could pick it up and get it done, but realistically, am I going to want to play it in the next couple of weeks? No, absolutely not. I could do with if they came out and said, look, we're going to push it back. We're going to push it back 4 months. Fine, it probably would be on my radar at that point, and I don't care about the whole crunch thing that's going on at the moment. Like, this is controversial to say, but the whole crunch debate, have you seen that, boys? I
know all about it, yeah.
I mean, for me, like, they've come under fire because they said, look, we're not going to instigate mandatory crunch across our company. We're just not going to do it. And then they've realised that actually we got no choice but to either crunch or we can't get the game out. I've got no issue with crunch at all. I really don't. Like, they're being paid for it. They're getting time and a half or whatever it is for the overtime that they have to do. And it turns out they work 1 extra day per week for the next 6 weeks. Oh, boo-hoo. Jesus Christ. It's not the end of the world. You're launching a massive product, which your company won't do for another 3 years. Like, you're getting a massive bonus.
You're on crunch at the moment anyway in the bank, aren't you, Davey?
We're on crunch pretty much all the time. Like we're
It's
always having
kind
to
of a
work
normal
over.
thing, isn't it, within industry? I think, like when times are
Yeah.
tough, you put in
Yeah,
extra
it is.
work.
Exactly.
Like with my job,
And
like when we're going for a release schedule, that is our crunch, right? We work harder. We do longer hours. But it just seems like because it's the gaming industry, they have this kind of outburst on social media that everyone feels sorry for them in some way.
I mean, I think that's exactly it. And I mean, this is the problem where a lot of people give credit to Twitter, and they give a lot of credit, and they put a lot of thought into what social media thinks, right? But it doesn't mean shit, because in reality, you get like what? You get a bit of Twitter outrage. But if you look at over the vast majority of the population, nobody really gives a shit. And most people are going to be thinking the same as us in quite a centrist view. Whereas thinking, do you know what? Sure, okay, this person can't go home to their family on this Saturday. They know that. They know that's what's expected of them. Otherwise, you wouldn't be where you are. Like, these people aren't underpaid lackeys. They're not like somebody working in like Mackey's or anything like that, where they're working just to get a bit of bread, They're just working for that salary, and they clock in, they clock out, done.
No offense
These
to
people
anyone that does work in McDonald's and
No.
needs
But
to
what I mean is, you
work
don't
extra shifts.
you don't go into a career looking to end up in like Mackey's, for example, right? Like you've studied and you've worked and all this to get into being a game developer, let alone in one of the biggest studios in the world in CD Projekt Red. You know what's expected of you. You're not just doing a service, you're launching a product which is going to be under proper scrutiny, which sets your studio out from the rest of the studios in the world. And you want that to be the best product it possibly can. So surely you'd want to sweat anyway. Like if you're in a creative field like that, like I only know for myself, like even putting my little YouTube videos out for like 100 people to view, it still takes me hours and hours and hours. And I go on 3 days a week, I go to bed with like 4 hours sleep to then get up for work the next day, because I'm putting the effort into making sure it's the best it can possibly be. Let alone if you're working for 3 or 4 years on a project to get the best it can be, and you get that final push, you should expect that. And I don't think that Twitter outrage is comparative to how most people would feel about being asked to work, especially if you're getting paid for it. If it was unpaid work, I'd probably understand. But you're being paid for it time and a half. Like, what's the problem?
You'd imagine these people that work for games developers, though, they would be passionate about their job, wouldn't they, right? Because, I'm passionate about my job, right? We make websites, but if I was making a video game, that's something that, like, outside of my profession, like, I spend a lot of time, I'm really interested, I'm on a podcast with you guys. Imagine getting to work on a video game. You'd want to put in that effort, wouldn't you? Who is sat there going, I ain't doing that. That's too much for me. Do you know what? Don't push me on that.
Exactly. I mean, that's the thing. If you've got that opinion, then you're in the wrong profession, or you just need 100%. To go. You just need to go.
Yeah.
Like you think, right? Okay, well, we're at the top of our game. We've worked. Say, for example, you've been with CD Projekt Red since day one, right? They've gone from being a studio which is pretty much unknown outside of Eastern Europe, right? They were big in Eastern Europe because they were one of the pivotal studios in porting games for Eastern Europe, which didn't have any. And that's how they got their money. And then they released GOG. So GOG has obviously come from that. Mm-hmm. And then they hit the jackpot then with Witcher 3, which is when people started taking notice of them. That was the first time I'd ever heard of them, was Witcher 3, and how most people in the industry seem to take notice of them. And so now they got a lot of pressure to follow up on Witcher 3 because it was such a absolutely phenomenal game. And you've got to put the time in. If you don't, it's not going to be anything. Like, your first impression is so important. And if they come out and they have a first impression which is, dog shit, the game isn't, no one's going to buy it. And then nobody gets their bonus checks. And then nobody makes any extra money. So you put the time in to do it. If
you're not going to put in the effort, someone else will, I think, right? I've employed people.
It's true.
And if they're not pulling their weight, like there's reasons there, isn't there, to move them on? There's always someone behind you who's on the same level or better that wants that job. So if people are complaining about these things, there's always going to be someone that wants to take that place, surely.
No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
It's about hunger a lot of the time.
Oh, it really
it's about
is.
hunger.
It really is.
But people don't seem... Sometimes, if you listen to social media, it's like as if nobody understands that. But that's definitely not the case. That's not what it actually is. You just got to bear it in mind, but at the same time know that that's probably not a true reflection of reality, because most people probably don't feel that way.
Mm-hmm.
But that's my take on it anyway. It seems like you're in opinion with me, Phil, in agreement with me on that.
100%. You know, like if I was working for a video games company and they were like, oh, can we do a weekend? My God, I'd be biting their hands off, you know? I'd be loving my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What about you, Spence? Obviously, you're in a different part of your life compared to me and Phil. Like, obviously, you're still in college at the moment. So, what do you feel about this whole situation?
Mm-hmm. Well, I understand it, and I'm surprised they chose to crunch rather than just delay the game. But I feel like they've delayed the game so much already, they probably feel as though they wouldn't get away with it again. Crunch is a normal thing, especially in the video game industry, where why would they think, oh, I can't be asked to do this, let's just release it as it is, and not release a game that they care about to the best that it can be. And again, like, they are getting paid time and a half. There's no issue. I'm sure all of this rage and stuff on Twitter and on social media about the situation, not one of those complaints is coming from one of the employees that are putting crunch from Project CD Red. They're probably chuffed about it. They get to put more time into their passion and get paid extra. They're some of the top % in their country, which I think is Poland. And
yeah, I think that's a really solid point. Actually, is the fact that you look at how much like the average Polish person earns, and it's not an awful lot. And then you think about how much they're going to get in terms of bonus check. Like, what was it? They get a profit share, right? If it goes well, as far as I know. So you get a profit share, even if it's like a 2% profit share. That's an absolutely massive amount of money compared to the typical person over there. It's just insane. But that's quite surprising for me actually that we're all on the same page with this. I thought that my opinion might be a little bit too harsh on this, but
you got to wait for the Twitter backlash on all this, Davey. You know,
that's true.
So
that's true.
If anyone has a different opinion on this, it's at SSJ Davey on Twitter. Anyone experiencing the crunch and doesn't accept our views of working hard for a video games company,
or you could write into the email.
Yeah.
pswetrust@gmail.com. Write into the email. Let me know your opinions. I wouldn't mind hearing about this. But we've kind of gone off a bit of a tangent. So we're going to move into what will probably be one of the main topics of future episodes, is talking about kind of PS5 news and kind of big topics. So the big thing that's come up, lads, has been the PS5 teardown. I don't know if any of you have seen it at all.
Yeah, I've seen it like 3 or 4 times. I've seen it quite a lot. I've seen people reacting to it, giving their opinions. I think it's cool.
I haven't, but I did see going back a couple of weeks, the deep dive into the architecture of kind of like the processor and how PS5 is built, which I thought, that's a step forward, because it's one of those things that, like, there are the hardcore of PlayStation, which would be really interested in what processor, what graphics processor, what actually goes inside the PlayStation. And then of course there is a lot of people that probably just go straight over their head, but I think they're trying to appeal to more markets with that, definitely, especially like coming from a PC background. I want to know all that information.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen the teardown now. I mean, we had Mark Cerny's Power Hour at the start of the year, where he went through and he said, like, look, we're going to deep dive into PS5, and literally it went straight over my head. Like, I don't have a fucking clue with most of this, and I thought, okay, I've learned it's supposed to be really fast, right? It's supposed to be really
Was
good.
he wearing a wig, though?
Well, the bigger question was, did he have a fake audience in front of him? Because it looked like he did.
Yeah. It was strange, wasn't it? It was a strange announcement, because the whole setup, he looked really strange. But what he was talking about was super interesting, to me anyway.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, is I wish I could relate, but I can't, because I don't understand any of it.
Sure.
So it was all over my head. But what I did take from the PS5 teardown was quite a bit of information. I'm really interested to hear what Spence has to say, because if he's watched it 3 or 4 times, I watched it once, I took some notes, but what did you take from it, Spence? I mean, run us through the facts and stuff.
The first thing they did, which is literally like the first thing they did, was remove the side panels. And they shut off the stand. The stand, a lot of people are kind of causing a fuss at the moment, because Xbox tweeted out right after a little controversy about how the stand takes like 2 minutes maybe to switch from the bottom to the side, whereas Xbox just showed the video of them tipping the Xbox over.
The stand looked really good, in my opinion.
I thought it looked really good. It looked stable, and that's what
The
you
thing
want.
is, how often are you going to change position of your PlayStation? You know, horizontal or you have it vertical. You generally only really set up your PlayStation once, don't you?
Yeah, I completely agree.
I looked at it. I looked at how the stand works in terms of like the little plastic bit that you can then put back in the hole and all that. And I really liked it. I thought it was a really good design for just, and it's a fucking stand, for God's sake. Like Phil said, you're going to put the stand on once. You're going to choose which orientation you're going to go for, and that's it. Like, unless you move house or unless you're bringing it to a different room for whatever reason you are, the 99% of the time it's going to be in one stationary position. And for the majority of people, that's going to be a case of unboxing the thing, putting the stand on it, done. Not giving it a second thought.
Which orientation are you guys going to go for? Have you thought about it? Seeing as it's such a major thing that we have to change with our PlayStation.
Well, I mean, for me,
because don't get it wrong, because it could take you a couple of minutes to change it.
Exactly. I mean, you look at my PS4 Pro at the moment is in a TV unit and it's lying horizontal. The PS5, in my opinion, looks better standing up.
Okay.
Looks much better standing up. The problem is, do I really give a shit about how the console looks? No. I want it just lying there to put a disc in it and play whatever I want. And that's it. The benefit to it standing upright is that it's easier for me to go around and plug stuff into the back USB ports, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a moment. But the benefit to it being in the TV unit is far superior to that. It just being out the way, it being safe. My toddler can't rip it off and throw it on the floor.
Do you think it will fit in your TV unit?
Well, this is the problem. I've got to measure it up. It's 390 millimeters high, as far as I remember, and 290 deep.
Yeah, it is.
I think.
Deep, yeah.
And that's big. That's fucking big. That's a big unit. I think it would be fine. I've got to measure it, but I'm kind of worried about measuring it because if it doesn't fit, I've got to figure out something beforehand. Whereas I'd rather be in the spur of the moment, desperate to plug it in, realize it doesn't fit, just put it anywhere, and that's where it lives. So I'm kind of going to leave it.
My most notable thing that I really liked was the side white panels come off quite easily as well, which gives us a lot of room for like customization. So maybe you could either get special edition PlayStations where you don't have to buy a whole new console, you could just buy new panels and replace them, or like third.
So you mean like they would be modular? So we're going back to the 3310 days of the Nokia phones where you would buy like a case for them and be able to take that off and put that on.
Mate.
Oh, incredible! Okay.
Yeah, literally exactly that. You can just rip them straight off, and maybe you can get like some cool decal Last of Us ones or freaking Resistance 4.
Oh, the dream, the absolute dream.
Or Death Stranding 2. I think you can leave that silence in.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, okay. No, I'm totally with you on this. I reckon that would be so hype. I'd be so hyped to be able to just go down to like, Shop 2 or whatever, or Game or Amazon or wherever, and just pick up like a Batman theme one for the new Batman game and just have a Batman thing on the side, and it'd be like 30 quid for you just to be able to buy the sides. It'd be so hype. It'd be so good. Like, I always really wanted to buy the Arkham Knight PS4, because it had the Batman logo on it, or the Spider-Man one. But I don't want to buy a new PS4 just for the sake of that.
I'm totally the same. You see all these special editions come down, and you're like, well, I really want a special, like a Death Stranding PlayStation 4, but like, what's the point? It's just a PS4, right? But if you could just change out the sides, maybe
the Death Stranding PS4 in particular was amazing as well.
Incredible.
It was such a nice looking. It's probably the best looking one as well. So to be able to have the sides for that would be officially Sony produced would be so hype, because you can buy the controllers, can't you?
Yeah.
You can buy like a Spider-Man themed controller and shit, which is
course.
hype. But how nice would it be to be able to just buy the sides? It'd be so class. I'm so chuffed with that.
I feel like they'd upmarket it really. They'd probably be like 80 quid just because it's Sony. But
That'd be insane. It's just 2 blocks of plastic. There's no way. We're not. It's not Nintendo, mate. It's not Nintendo.
You would definitely get people doing them as like gold plated, and you could like buy gold-plated sides. That'd be
Yeah, you
incredible.
I imagine a lot of people will like figure it out and 3D print their own.
Yeah, all that.
And I think that'd be really cool.
Or people like Louis Vuitton and Gucci, they'd release their own versions of the sides.
Yeah, those would be a bit more than 80 quid. After the sides, the thing that stood up to me a bit was the Wi-Fi 6. They didn't really show off, but they showed is in the console. And there's been a little bit of drama on Twitter about that, because they said the lightning fast Wi-Fi 6. And everyone's kind of complaining that sure, Wi-Fi 6 is good, but it's literally the same speed as Wi-Fi 5. The only difference is that it won't really bottleneck if you have multiple devices on at once, unless you have like 10 or more devices.
What I want to know, right, if you've got your PlayStation in situ, who's playing on Wi-Fi?
Well,
Really? Like, I wire everything in my house.
I'm the same.
well, my computer's Ethernet,
Yeah.
but my consoles are all mostly wireless. But then my wireless is busted, so it hasn't really mattered too much. I've got like 250 meg down and 30 meg up.
But what I want to know is, like, I'm the same. I'm Ethernet in as well. But what I want to know is, like, the PS4 speeds are fucking awful. They're terrible. For downloading anything, it takes such a long time on PS4. And if it's a higher Wi-Fi, if it's Wi-Fi 6, does that mean then that I'm going to be able to download things quicker? Or what does that mean in terms of real life?
There is so many contributing factors within that. I don't think just having Wi-Fi 6 makes you download faster.
It will make it closer to your actual wireless speed. Whereas obviously PS3 was terrible. PS4 wasn't great. It was actually quite bad. Like where it like cut your speed into 1/6 of whatever it is. Like I have 250, but it downloads at 30. It's not very fast. Whereas Wi-Fi 6 should hopefully help to maintain your actual speed. And the main benefit is that say you have like your family downstairs watching Netflix, your kid or your wife on their phone, your phone's on and stuff, it shouldn't bottleneck the internet. It should maintain its speed.
Oh, okay.
So that's like the big plus of Wi-Fi 6.
But I think progression in any way is good, and it should be up to the newest standards. So I can appreciate it, but I won't use it.
So we know a lot of the ports, this has the standards, the Ethernet port, HDMI port. But a big thing, to me anyway, because I hated this on the PS4, is that it has 3 USB ports and the USB-C. So that means even when charging the controllers with USB-C, we still have 3 USB ports to us. And on my PS4, obviously we only had 2, or I only had 2 because I didn't have the Pro. I couldn't have my headset in, and also when I played Warzone, I like to use keyboard and mouse. And I wouldn't be able to use both without buying like a USB extension thing. The hardware just wouldn't let me. Whereas now on this, I'd obviously be able to.
To be honest, it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it, to have 3 USBs and a USB-C. The thing with USB-C is that you can plug many devices into the single port, and that's the main advantage to it. So yeah, no, I'm really like happy that they're bringing in the USB-C technology. As much as I don't really like it because it falls out too easy. It's not like a USB. It falls out. I know you can put it in either way, and that was one of the advantages, but it easily slips out. So I would always use a USB over a USB-C.
Well, that's the thing. I think the USB-C is just like the dedicated controller charger port. So it's just, you just leave it in there, and then when you charge your controller, there it goes.
Same as Switch. Because Switch bottom out is USB-C, and in the main controllers are USB-C. Not that you boys play on Pro controllers. It's more GameCube.
I mean, for myself, I've never had to worry too much because on the PS4 Pro, you've got two USBs on the front, one on the back.
Yeah.
And the one on the back is really good for if you take it in, like, say, for example, I want to take any gameplay footage off from the share button.
Sure.
Then I can just put my USB into the back of the PS4 Pro, save it onto the USB stick, and good times. But I don't use it for anything else. But I think with having so many on the back now, I think it's going to be a good way for manufacturers to really think about how they design their technology. You know, if you got like a controller or some third-party adapter which runs off a USB, you're going to be thinking about that being on the back of the PS5 by the general use. So you've got to probably redesign how you think about things. So like, for example, with my Astros. So my Astros on PS4 at the moment, they run off optical cable. So the optical cable runs into the back of the PS4, runs all the way out from the back of the PS4, all the way around my entire setup to where I'm sitting. So it means trailing cables. It's a fucking nightmare. Whereas now they might think to themselves, actually, like with Astros, I know they're releasing a add-on. So it means that you'll be able to plug your headset into the PS5. So that might mean then, in that scenario, I wouldn't have to have trailing cables all the way to where I'm sitting. It might just redesign things a little bit and make people think about how people are going to use their tech, which I think is quite interesting, but we'll have to kind of see where that goes from there.
Personally, for me, the more the better with USBs and connectivity. Take my PC for example. I think there's like 7 USBs and there's a USB-C on the back, and then we got 2 USBs on the front. Right? Our console's never going to get to those heights, but 3 USBs for what am I plugging into a PlayStation for my needs? Really, I don't think I'll even use them, to be honest.
My PC has 4 on the front and like 9 or 12 on the back, but that just has all my essential peripherals, my keyboard, mouse, my headset, my capture card, everything. My PlayStation is actually kind of like my home, where I just keep all my casual stuff in. So my Apple Watch charger is always in my PlayStation. My controller charger is usually in there as well, but now I've got one near my bed. So I charge my controller.
Currently, I don't think I plug anything into my PlayStation, because I've got like a dedicated charger for like USB that I would just use for like charging the handsets and things. What's it to them to add a couple more USBs, really? Yeah,
who's going to complain about easier connectivity? Yeah, so going past the USB, obviously we talked about how the side panels come off, or maybe we get some customization, but you have to take them off and kind of screw into the PlayStation to access the SSD expansion.
So it's not as easy as the Xbox, is it?
Yeah, the Xbox is literally just like a USB you just put in. Obviously it's different and a lot less easy, but I kind of like it a bit more because it's in the console.
Sure.
Whereas you're going to have a little dongle sticking out of your Xbox the entire time. And I like that you put it in there, you reseal your PlayStation, it's done, and now you've got an extra, terabyte, 800 gig.
Did you guys ever upgrade your storage for PS4 or PS3?
I did, yeah. I did.
Never.
What did you upgrade?
I think it was PS3. I upgraded my original PlayStation because it was fuck all on the original. What was I don't remember the stats, to be honest.
I remember I upgraded mine on my PS3. That's the only time I've ever had to do it. I upgraded my PS3 to 500 gig, and I never had to worry about it ever again.
It plateaus, doesn't it? Once you get to a certain level, you don't need to, because you don't play that many games, right? So as soon as you bang a terabit in, it doesn't matter.
This is the thing about the PS4, right? The PS4 normal had 500 gig, I think.
Mine is 500.
And that was fine. I filled that. I had to constantly delete stuff.
Yeah.
Now I got the Pro and I got a terabyte. I still get the occasional thing where I have to delete stuff, but it's only whenever I got Modern Warfare installed.
But everyone's got to manage their storage, right? I'm on a PC, and it's so easy to update your storage, but I'm still managing it, right?
Yeah.
I'll download Steam games, and I'm like, oh, maybe I have to delete an older game. But it isn't an issue now because internet speeds are so fast. You can just download your games. It doesn't matter, does it?
See that?
Yeah,
that was
it does not matter.
Like with PS3, it was so much more essential to upgrade your storage because it would take you a year and a half just to uninstall and reinstall a game. Whereas now on the PS5, like, you can uninstall a game, and if your internet speed's any decent, you're on Ethernet or whatever with Wi-Fi 6, you can install a new one in maybe like a full 60 gig game in about an hour, maybe less. So there's a lot less need to extend your storage.
Yeah. With cloud storage, you just bang all your files up there and you just use your local storage for everything you're kind of doing.
I kind of want to talk to you guys a little bit about one thing that piqued my interest, right? Like, obviously, I'm not technical at all. So a lot of this stuff is way over my head, but there's one thing that made perfect sense to me, and that's around the SSD. I had a little look. After the teardown video, I had a little look into what the comparison is between PS4 and Xbox Series X. And I kind of want to give you guys this information, but then kind of get your opinion on it, because you guys are a lot more technical than me.
Sure.
With the PS5, we're talking then 825 gig SSD, and it reads as fast as 5.5 gigabyte per second of raw data transfer rates, right? Now, when you compare that to the PS4 Pro, for example, you're talking a data speed of 600 megabyte per second. And then when you compare that to Xbox Series X, you're talking about an SSD speed of 2.4 gigabytes per second.
Oh, that's even slower than I thought that was going to be.
So it's 2 times as fast as the Xbox Series X. Now, to me, that's a major selling point. Now, obviously, the proof in that is just in the pictures. Now, you're talking uncompressed data. So I looked into it, and the difference, when you're talking about compressed data, the difference on the PS5 is actually 8 gigabytes per second compared to just over 4 on the Xbox Series X. You're talking about a 2 times difference, really, in terms of data speed. And for everything I've read online, it seems that the PS5 SSD is actually a benchmark for the future industry, that no one else has actually got an SSD on that level yet.
Yeah, it is.
And it's a couple of months away from everyone else being able to actually release something for that's compatible with PS5, which means that actually putting some extra memory into your PS5 at the moment is actually impossible.
Yeah.
Until...
It's not out.
Yeah, it's not out yet,
not
which
out.
is absolutely insane to me. It's nuts. So, what I want to ask you guys is, what do you think is the reason why Sony haven't released the PS5 to a lot of influencers so they can take existing games and do a direct comparison between PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X? Because that is the biggest selling point I can think of for why you'd want to buy a PS5, is so that you can literally load the same game. For example, like, I don't know, something like with a big load time, like Red Dead Redemption, right? You can load the same game on Xbox Series X, load the same game on PS5, and see it being potentially cut in half in terms of load time, saying, fuck off Xbox. What is the reason why they haven't done that yet?
So how many influencers do you know work for both PlayStation and Xbox?
Loads.
Really?
There's loads of channels that cover both.
No.
Absolutely loads.
No, but like actively say that they get technology from these producers.
The one that comes to mind immediately for me is someone like, Jeff Keighley, right, who runs the
Yeah.
Games Awards. He's like big on PS5 at the moment, like big on PS5, but he's also covered a lot of Xbox in the past. Or, for example, like Greg Miller, right? Used to work for PlayStation at IGN. He's like a big PlayStation guy.
Okay.
I know that I saw on Twitter that he's got an Xbox Series X.
Oh, he got sent it, did he?
Yeah, he got sent it.
Wow.
And Yong Ye, who I watch on YouTube, he's been sent an Xbox Series X, no PS5, and he loves PlayStation. They haven't been sent it. So what do you reckon is the reason? Are they thinking this is something that they don't have to do it, that they don't have to compete on this level, or do you think there's something else to it?
I have a few ideas on why. For one, I think, they're very confident. I feel like they don't feel the need to do so. But two, if you're like noticing, they've only just recently done the teardown. They've only just recently started showing like gameplay and such like casually on the PS5, whereas Xbox have been doing it for a few months. I think they're just a bit slow on the roll. So if they do get it out to influencers, it'll only be like 2 or 3 weeks prior to launch, if even that far away from it.
I think releasing anything to an influencer is a risk, and it's probably a risk they don't want to take. You know, like why would you put yourself up for that? You know, especially when you know they have the other console. Why would you 50-50 it? Because it is a coin flip. Because a lot of the time with an influencer, it's just personal opinion. They might not be as clued up as everyone thinks. They might just go, well, I prefer Xbox because there might be a deal on the side. I might like PlayStation. There might be a deal on the side. You know? Like, it's just a 50-50. If an influencer says something, if they've got 1 million followers, that's a huge hit. Like, why put yourself up for that risk?
It's a good point. I think if it was a case that you're talking about power or one of the other stats that is a bit close, like the PS5 teraflops 10.3, right? Whereas the Xbox is 12 or something. And I know obviously that's been like a big thing people have been like shouting out about. But if you've got something as clear cut as twice the speed of something else, surely it makes just perfect sense to send it out. And I don't know if I can blame coronavirus on it. I don't know if I can do that. And there's a couple of Japanese YouTubers that have got hold of it now that are putting stuff up. So I can only imagine over the next coming weeks we'll see more and more and more. But it does make me wonder, like, what are they doing? They recently put out a stat, I don't know if you guys seen this, but they anticipate the PS5 to sell 7 million consoles in the first 3 months on the market.
Yeah.
7 million. That's like twice as many as the PS4. So
It's a high expectation, especially during these COVID times.
it's a massive expectation. And I think, you know, for the hardcore, we're already there. Like, us three have already pre-ordered. The people who want it immediately have already done so. So I don't think that's the market to go for. But for the random kid who's going to show his mum and dad, you know, oh, please can you get me this for Christmas? That might be the deciding factor that gets them to purchase a console. And I just don't know why you'd want to leave it. Christ, we're on October 9th. We got like a month and 3 days until it releases in America. Wouldn't you want to get this shit out now? I just don't understand that at all.
None of it matters, right? Without the games. And it doesn't matter if it's an underpowered console, if the other console is higher spec, it's faster, it does everything better. If you don't have the games, you ain't going to win the market. And that's what it comes down to. I very much hate these conversations when it comes down to, oh, this one's slightly better than this one's slightly better than that, because it's down to the games. And we saw it with the last console generation, didn't we? You know, there was this big argument at the start, Xbox versus PlayStation. Xbox came out with this, PlayStation came out with that.
The difference in that generation is that the PS4 was the more powerful console out of the two.
And it had better games. So it had both of them, right? But for this one, it doesn't matter.
I suppose the thing that goes in your favor with that argument is that the Xbox. No, I'm probably going to get this wrong because I can't understand these naming conventions that Xbox do. The Xbox Series X, right? That's the one that's out now.
Xbox Series X is the one coming out. One X.
Fuck me, so bad.
It is difficult.
So, and I'm not even doing this for dramatic effect. I honestly just don't understand it. So the Xbox One X, right? That's the most powerful console out in the world at the moment, and it hasn't done anything for the brand. It's not moved them forward at all after they launched it. Like when they released that and they released the specs of that compared to the PS4 Pro, I remember everyone thinking, "Oh shit, Sony are in a bit of trouble here," and it turns out it meant nothing. Like it meant nothing. It didn't even make a remote impact in the industry.
Just to cut in there, no one compares Nintendo.
No,
Nintendo
no.
has always been the underpowered console, but the reason they're still in the game is because of their games.
No, not even that. It's their games and their innovation. Like
what? No one cares about this, Spence. And for all the podcaster listeners, I'm waving my hands. No one cares about that. It's about the games with Nintendo. It's about the IP that they own. Mario, Zelda, it's all the big names.
Yeah, I think that's totally true. I mean, you just look at the sales of Animal Crossing. Animal Crossing this year has outsold pretty much every single game this year. Yeah. And it's absolutely stomped on Last of Us and any of the PlayStation exclusives, even though the PlayStation exclusives have got an install base of like 112 million compared to the Switch at like 60 million. It doesn't matter. You're quite right. If you got the games there, that speaks for itself.
If you've got the games and you've got the passion for those games, then people will buy your console. It doesn't matter if it's overpowered, underpowered.
It's true.
Good point. So is there anything else from the teardown that really got your guys' attention or really got you guys thinking, oh my god, this is hype?
Not necessarily, I wouldn't say. Not for me. The dust collectors are a bit interesting because obviously a lot of issues with PS4 and PS3 was dust going in the fan, and then when it got too much dust, you turn your PS4 on, it'd sound like a freaking rocket about to take off.
It was like the old school days where you had to blow on it, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. It would just collect dust and start getting louder and louder, and then eventually it'd die. But now with these dust collectors, you can just take the side panels off, get a vacuum, and hoover out the dust.
My PC has that, so you can like pull out the part at the bottom. I don't know the name for it, the dust collectors, and collect the dust.
The one thing that really stood out to me, right? This is one thing I wanted to draw you guys' attention to, is I've seen a lot of people saying about the size of the SSD and about how it's not going to be able to take that many games until it's completely filled. Now, I went in and did a little bit of research in terms of the game size comparison between PS4 and PS5, and I wanted your guys' take on this, because with Mark Cerny's Power Hour, he went on about how the game sizes were going to be smaller for PS5 because the SSD would mean they wouldn't have to replicate data across the game development. Well, it turns out we've had the game sizes for Miles Morales and for Demon's Souls already, and they're looking pretty big. They're not looking crazy, but they are looking big enough. So the game size comparison for Miles Morales is coming in 50 gig, whereas Spider-Man on PS4 is coming in at 47, so pretty comparable, to be fair. But the real issue comes in when you look at Demon's Souls. So Demon's Souls is coming in at 46, I believe, and then Dark Souls 3 is 17. Big difference there in terms of the game size itself. The one thing I think is going to be a major difference to this going forward is how games choose to optimize their data management. Because you look at something like Modern Warfare on PS4, right? Modern Warfare is insane. It's 175 gig at the moment on PS4, which is insane. Absolutely insane. It's ridiculous. You put it on your hard drive, and you literally got to think, okay, well, I can't play 4 or 5 games because I got this on there. Let alone with it growing every single day with increasing patches. So, do you think as we go forward into the generation that it's going to be like Mark Cerny said, and it's going to be a decreasing amount of file size, or do you think it's going to go up?
I think with games they're going to move forward with being modular, where you can install the part of the game that you want to play. So
they did.
If I like The Last of Us 2 and I'm very much into the multiplayer online, I'm very into that. Maybe I'll just install that and I won't install the story. I think that you should install each chapter. It should be episodic, if you like, to coin a Half-Life phrase there.
That was quite like. Do you remember on Metal Gear Solid 4 on PS3? You get to each chapter, and then it would install the next chapter. Do you remember that?
I think that's the way it should be. Because why am I installing chapter 10 when I'm on chapter 2? With the way the processor is and the way the install speeds, just install it as I go. I don't need it. World of Warcraft, any modern PC game will install the part you're playing.
I think, right, in a sense I agree, but I also do disagree. I think the main part is it should retain 2 chapters, so the chapter you're on, 3 chapters.
Yeah, that's fine. So you don't see
the chapter.
I don't want to see the loading time, but equally, I don't need to be like chapter 10 is installed, but I'm on chapter 1.
So what happens? What happens then?
Install it as I go.
So what happens at the end of the game when you completed it?
Then remove it because I don't need it. Just install the.
What if you do? What if you got a chapter select?
Just install the multiplayer.
No. What if you got a chapter select?
Well, that's fine, isn't it? You would accept that on a chapter select.
I agree with you to a certain extent.
No?
I agree with you. Like, if you've got a single player game with multiplayer functionality, that you should be able to install the parts that you need.
Correct.
Like in terms of the entire single player or the entire multiplayer or vice versa, right?
You are correct.
There you go. But yeah, I think if you're installing a single player game, you expect it just to all be there because it just means ease of use, moving around, going for. What if you're not playing a chapter kind of game? What if you're playing a open world kind of game and you got to travel from where you are and you want to go back to the start point of the map? You wouldn't then want to hit a game breaking thing where it comes up with currently installing first portion of the game.
Yeah.
We fucking binned it off.
Like,
obviously.
I'm not talking about open world games here. I'm talking about level by level by level. And I'm saying that you don't see these loading times. They just happen in the background. And with all the improvements in technology, I don't understand why that isn't a thing. It happens with PC games.
See,
so why can't...
I think that's easy to relate to, like, say, Last of Us 2. Say we're playing Last of Us 2 on the PS5, like, remastered or whatever. I feel like it should retain the chapter prior, the chapter you're on, and it should install the next chapter. And then when you move on, it would erase the first chapter.
Actually,
and then
to put another level on that, I think it should ask you if you want to do that. So you should have an option for quick loading. So that means it'll load chapter 3 and 1 if you're on chapter 2. Or you could say, I want to install the whole game because I'm like Davey. I want to switch and swap with these games, with these chapters.
Yeah, that's fine.
And you've got the choice. Choice is where it lives.
I agree with you. Yeah, I think choice would be great. I think choice would be great because then it means you could just install the entire game as it is and leave it, and then it's just the SSD to load as it goes, which should be super fast looking at the figures. And if not, that's up to you, isn't it? If you don't have the space on it, then bin off Modern Warfare, save yourself 175 gig, and keep your hard drive spare.
All about choice, mate. Give us the choice.
Speaking about game storage sizes, how do you both feel about the actual size of the PS5 storage not being 825, obviously because of the OS, but being 660 roughly?
To be honest, I would sacrifice that space because I think the PS4 OS was terrible. So I would welcome it. I would rather a better experience while I'm doing the day-to-day in PlayStation if they're going to take the space. It wouldn't bother me. I don't play enough games to need that like extenuated like level of space on PlayStation. Yeah.
I'm kind of in two minds on this because the majority of my hard drive at the moment isn't taken up by games, it's actually taken up by game capture.
I thought it was PlayStation. I thought it was Dragon Ball Z videos.
A lot of it is Dragon Ball stuff, yes. But no, the majority of my hard drive is actually taken up by game capture. So the problem is we haven't seen, and this is something that I'm really concerned with, we haven't seen the create button yet. We haven't seen what it does. If it's saving in like 60 FPS, 1080 or 1440 or, Christ, even if it's going full 4K, that's going to take up a lot of data. A hard drive then is going to be eaten up really fast. So it all kind of depends on what they do and if they allow external hard drive to be plugged in to save your captures onto. Because if they do that, then I've got no issues with the hard drive space. But if they don't, and they have to have it all on an SSD, and you have to have the SSD, it's the only thing you can have, then I'm going to be concerned. But that's something they haven't talked about yet, which I'm really surprised about since we're a month away from release.
If they're integrating more kind of cloud storage when it comes to that, like you'd understand it, right? If it's all local, I think when it comes to like local storage, it should just be your like game saves, but it should be doubled up on cloud storage. If you have the option, let's have it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I feel like in Davey's sense, where you're saying the game captures and stuff, that should probably all be on the cloud, and then if you need it, you could choose to download it to your
definitely. If you want to edit it, then you can download it. But as standard, it should just be up in the cloud.
Yeah, I entirely agree.
I think the main takeaway for this, everything should be choice. If you're given the choice, it's going to be better, isn't it? If you're forced into downloading your captures onto your local drive, it's only going to take up space. If you're forced onto putting them in the cloud, it's going to be so much harder to edit. But to have that choice, that's what we should be going for.
Agreed.
I completely
Now,
agree.
I know you guys aren't as mad on trophies as I am.
Definitely not.
But to kind of close this off, have you guys seen the changes to the trophy system that have gone live now?
Does it solve the fundamental error with trophies?
What is that then, mate?
What is that? What is the fundamental?
The fundamental error with trophies is that I can buy one of your PS Plus £5 games and get a platinum, and it might look as good as someone who spends 90 hours playing an RPG and getting that platinum. Does it solve that?
No.
Brilliant. Well done, PlayStation.
No, it doesn't. But the thing about it is that what it does do is that for you and anybody that you're trying to compare a trophy list to, what it does is it makes it a little bit more obvious the difference in gamer on a general level. So what they've done is, for those people that don't know, is that they've taken the standard trophy system. So instead of it being a level 1 to 50 system, they changed it from a level 1 to 1,000 system. And what that's done is that they've changed it. So for myself, I've got 64 platinums and God knows how many trophies, like 5,000 or something. And so for me, I've gone from being level 27 to level 398.
Should I check mine live now?
Yes, go on, Phil.
All right, we're going to log.
Do you know what yours was before?
We're going to log in. I think I had about 8. 8 platinums.
What? You were level 8?
No, 8 platinums.
Spence, do you know what level you were before the change?
I wasn't very high. I think I was like maybe level 12 or 7 or something. No, level 9. I was level 9.
And what level have you gone to now?
I'll quickly check. I think it's level 158 or something along those lines. 155. My level is now.
Oh, Spencer, you're about to get kicked off the podcast. I'm level 229.
Oh, let's go, Phil.
And I have 7. So, I have 7 platinums.
Not bad.
I don't know. I don't know if that makes me good or bad. I don't genuinely care about platinums, but like some games, like Death Stranding, I'll bring it up again. I just want to complete everything and see everything in the game. So I don't get a platinum to say yes, I got the platinum. I get the platinum to experience everything in the game.
See, going back your issue with trophies, the fundamental error of trophies. Your Death Stranding platinum equates to my Telltale's Game of Thrones.
Well, there we go.
Which I got just for completing the game.
Yeah,
and that's the only platinum I have.
It's all bollocks, really, isn't it? It doesn't matter. Who cares?
I mean, I like platinums. I like the idea of platinums.
The amount of times I've been out drinking with Davey, and he said, "I've got more platinums than you."
I've never said that in my life, but
for all the listeners, if that ever happens to you, it doesn't matter.
The thing about it is with platinums, right, is that for me, they have changed the way I play games, and they've changed the way I experience games. So for me, I start a game, and I immediately look at the trophy list. And if the trophy list is shit, I don't bother going for platinum.
It spoils
it's quite freeing.
It spoils it, doesn't it? Like, I think a trophy list either makes a game or breaks a game.
I totally agree with you. I didn't think we'd agree on this. I totally agree with you.
Because if I jump into a game and I see all these online trophies, as you've been complaining earlier, I'm like, well, do I really need to play this on hard? Do I really need to complete this? Do I need to really bother, right? But if I see a trophy list which I think, is single player, I could do everything in the game, let's go for the platinum. Let's see everything in the single player game. I
totally agree.
I like a good structured trophy list. And for me, that's what trophies are.
I completely agree with you. Yeah, for me, it's exactly the same thing. I look at it and I think, right, well, if there's something bullshit in here that I'm not going to do, like, for example, on Resident Evil 0, I'm playing it now. If I was to platinum it, I'd have to do 7 runs. 7 runs of the game. I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that. Like, no matter how good the game is, I'm not doing 7 runs of it. Never. And so I'm not going for it. So therefore, I can just enjoy the game.
Basically, as soon as it says multiplayer, out. I'm just not so bothered about it. Because I don't subscribe to PS Plus, it doesn't, I can't get the trophy, right? But for you guys, it might be slightly different.
Well, mate, I don't have The Last of Us 1 Platinum, but to me, I do. Because, like fuck, am I going to get those 2 multiplayer trophies that shouldn't even be included in the list at all? That game, the platinum for it, if those 2 trophies were gone, would be absolutely brilliant. But they just thought, you know what, we need people to play multiplayer. Let's put them in. Fuck them.
At the end of the day, Spence, as long as you're happy.
I'm not. Other than the levels they've now done with trophies, they've now introduced a tracking system, or hopefully it works as well as they've claimed, where, like, say you're playing Uncharted, and you obviously have to collect artifacts throughout the game. It should keep track of how many you have and how many you need for the platinum or for the trophy. And I'm not sure how deep it will go into it, where, like, if it tells you what chapters you need the artifacts on.
I'm pretty sure that's on Xbox, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure that's just copy and paste out of Xbox.
Well, no, don't play it.
Yeah. I very rarely play Xbox, but I'm very sure I've seen that before.
It's on Steam at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it's 100% on Steam.
PC have been doing it for years, mate.
So what you're saying is then, Spence, I could literally go on and say, for example, I've got to get 50 grenade kills on Uncharted. I can then see how many grenade kills I've got in the trophy menu without having to go into the in-game menu, and hopefully they track it. Is that right?
Yeah, that's literally exactly it.
That's game-changing for me. That is fucking game-changing. Because, for example, I've got to do a trophy on Hotline Miami 2, where I've got to get X number of kills. I think it's 10,000 kills. And I have no idea, because the game doesn't track it, how many I've actually done. So it means that I could be grinding the same level for 8 hours, or I could be grinding it for 20 hours. And if I knew how long it was until I was done, I potentially wouldn't even bother.
Yeah.
But because I don't, I'll just do it. And that's the problem, is that I don't have that information. And most games that are good will track that for you in an options menu or some kind of way for you to do it. But not everyone does, because some developers, for some reason, think that trophies don't matter, and they really do. So for myself, it really makes or breaks a game, like Phil was saying, the difference between a good structured trophy list or not. I'm not saying a trophy list is easy to get. For example, one of my favourite trophy lists that I love, but I know I'll never platinum it, is Wolfenstein 2. Wolfenstein 2's got a difficulty, a trophy on it, which is linked to difficulty. And basically what it means completing the game under 1 life on the hardest difficulty. That game is solid on normal, let alone hard, which is what I completed it on. There's 2 difficulty levels past that for Mein Leben. So it means basically 2 shots you're dead. And that game is insanely hard. And you have to play an entire 12-hour game through without a single death. And if you die, you start back at the start, permadeath. And that trophy is insane. Because of that, if you got that trophy, you're in big dick territory. No one can ever say you're a shit gamer if you got that trophy. They just can't. And I think that's the real reason of a trophy list. That's the real reason for it. And so I think having that trophy is absolutely fine. The trophies I don't like are the ones that are big numbers with no tracking. Because you've got nothing to guide you at all.
I think we've all been there where we're trying to conquer a trophy where it says, oh, do 10 of this. And then you do 9 of it. And then you just continuously do the same 9. And you're like, what is the one thing I really need to do because there's no tracking in it? And you look it up on the internet and you're like, well, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And then you work through a list on the internet and it still doesn't ping that trophy. It's so frustrating. So
that's the worst.
So to have that would be a massive benefit. You know, I'm not a massive trophy hunter, but when I do, you know, I don't want to waste my time redoing the same trophies that I've already done.
As much as I'm not much of a trophy hunter, that's like, I do like the idea of trophies and I'd like to platinum more games. Usually trophy lists, same as Last of Us 1, just kind of disagree with me. And I've as much as I love games, same as like I said with Dragon Quest, I know it's a brilliant game, I'd love to finish it, but I struggle to commit to games. So for me to be able to beat a game and then go back and get the platinum is just not something I've ever been used to doing. But if it's telling me what I need to do and it makes it a much easier experience for me, I feel like I'll be way more inclined to hunt for platinums in the future.
So every platform seems to have their own kind of incentive for playing games, I suppose. So you've got
everything but the Switch. Yeah,
yeah, everything but the Switch, and that's probably the point I was trying to make. Was PlayStation have their trophies, Xbox have their gamer points, Steam has like cards that you collect and you sell and achievements. So you've never been bothered on any of these fronts?
No, I like playing a game for what it is, and if I really love it, yeah, sure, maybe I'll play it a bit more. But that's at my own pace, not what the trophy list demands of me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't feel like I see a trophy list and I'm just like, I have to do all these things that are in it. But it's quite nice to know these are the things that people do to be good at the game. You know what I mean? Like, some games I'll play and I'll be like, oh wow, I've got a silver trophy or a platinum trophy or whatever. Maybe not the platinum trophy, but a gold trophy for doing something quite cool in the game. But maybe I'm just playing the game at my own pace. You know what I mean?
I think it's a good breadth for everything. Like, you think about with Little Big Planet 1, right? Phil, you've got the platinum on that. I don't.
I do, yeah.
And the reason you got that is because you designed a better level than me.
I did, yeah. And it had you in it, didn't it?
Pardon?
Didn't it have you in it?
No. Your one was just jump the knife.
Oh, yeah, jump the knife!
There was just literally a knife swinging back and forth. You got to jump it with different obstacles in your way. Such a cool design.
Thank you.
That I couldn't compete with it. I made the one with my mate on a night out. And it was basically my mate on a night out and him getting angry, being an angry drunk. And it was really intricate and had a lot of depth to it, but it was a shit level compared to what Phil's was, which was just a classic platforming level. I haven't got the platinum Phil does.
It's only taken how many years for you to admit that?
Yeah, it's taken a good 10 years for me to be able to admit that.
Thank you.
And that's the timescale I work on.
If there's one thing I've done this podcast for, it's for recognition like that. I can go to...
We'll cut that out, mate. I'll cut that out. Don't worry about it. I'll cut that out.
Well, Phil, mate, seeing as you're clearly such a massive fan of Little Big Planet, you're going to be getting Sackboy's Big Adventure.
No.
All right, fair enough.
That's just my answer. That's my answer and my explanation is no.
That's kind of all the PS5 news that we got this week. Now, obviously, we're a fortnightly podcast, so we'll be back in a couple of weeks to see you all. If you want to reach out to the podcast, they can reach out to the email. So what is that, lads?
pswetrust@gmail.com.
Exactly. Please write in. Let us know your thoughts, your theories, any critiques you have for the episode, especially with Phil's opinions. I'd really appreciate that.
Why?
Mine are obviously flawless.
Why is it always mine? Come on.
But no, honestly, thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. So take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and we'll see you.
Peace.
Bye.
In PS We Trust is hosted by Davey, Phil, and Spencer. You can write into the show via our email, pswetrust@gmail.com. Our Twitter is @InPSWeTrust. To find each of us online, follow our Twitters, @SSJDavey, @PhilipHoy, @SpenPie_. Thank you for listening. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other. See ya.